Hey, what's going on, guys? And welcome back to another episode of We've Seen It Podcast. This week, it's episode number 27.
Yep.
As always, my name's Cam.
And I'm Jimmy.
And yeah, welcome back, guys. As always, thanks for watching our last episode. 27 episodes in now seems kind of crazy. I think it's
Yeah.
been 6 months or so.
Yeah, we'd be just over the half year mark. So
Yeah, and as always, too, I always check out the YouTube Studio app to monitor the videos and that kind of stuff, and just try to track progression. And it's just insane because it normally breaks it down to the last 28 days.
right.
And seeing the fact that we've gained you've gained 200 subscribers in the last 28 days. Out of our total 360 or whatever it is right now, it's every single time the progression's moving fast, which we like, obviously. So if you're watching this, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. As we always mention, comments are kind of the biggest thing. If we can consistently see those comments go up, that's more impressive to us than seeing stuff like views or watch time or stuff like that go up. Because it's a discussion podcast.
Yeah.
We're trying to talk to people about things. We try to respond to any comment that we think we can respond to. We try to like them all, give them the cool little hearts. So as always, if you have anything, it could be thoughts about any specific episode we talk about, or it could just be questions to us in general, or anything like that, recommendations to us. We accept any comments, and we appreciate them all.
Yeah, any type of feedback is amazing, and just the sheer amount of comments we've been getting on the last few videos has been almost scary trying to keep up with them.
Yeah, don't be afraid to throw us some negative comments too. Tell us what we can improve on. Tell us if I one of the things I always want to change is the actual the quality of the setup. So obviously we upped our quality a little while ago with the camera. Eventually I want to get new mics because these are just really, really cheap starter mics just to get it going. I want to really up the the recording area and stuff like that. I have so many visions in my mind. But obviously this is a hobby, so you got to be careful. We just don't want to go there spending 10 grand on a dope neon sign in the back, or individual chairs for sit in.
Yeah.
But that kind of stuff is just really, really cool. So if you have any any, I don't want to say negativity. Don't be hey, I hate you guys, you suck.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, or just something that you'd like to see. Be hey, I'd actually if you guys would have a guest on. That'd be kind of cool to see that. Or I want you guys to have episodes diving deeper into specific anime. Or if you want something else other than just this podcast, let us know too. We have debated on I think the first kind of different thing we're gonna do is I think we're looking at doing a special for the Demon Slayer movie.
Yeah.
That comes out I think April 23rd. I don't know if it's gonna come to our theaters. If it doesn't, though, we'll just watch it together. We'll stream it.
We'll find a way to watch it.
Yeah, wherever we can, and then we'll just do an hour-long podcast just dedicated to discussing that movie, because that's obviously a very big, probably one of the biggest animated movies of all time, technically.
At this point, yeah.
Especially when it comes to sales in Japan. But yeah, if there's just other content even in the podcast, let us know if you want it. We can come up with specials and stuff like that. Or as always, recommend anime coming out that you want us to talk about soon, since it is going to be spring 2021 very soon.
Yeah, we're getting to the end of a lot of the shows on our list. It's kind of sad.
It is very sad. Today we have one anime that is currently over. Yeah. It is resuming in June from what I've heard. So it's resuming in summer, which isn't that bad. But
yeah, I think we're getting a 14 episode run with the season after next. So.
Yes. So that won't be bad. That'll be good. So that's why today's list, or next week's list, is going to be slightly different. We're going to have both the Horimiya and the Quintessential Quintuplets episode on next week. Because we have that open space because Mushoku Tensei won't be there. Today's list is actually a little bit longer than normal because, as many of you, I assume, know, or if you were watching us last week, you would have seen, due to an earthquake in Japan, they temporarily delayed the episode of Attack on Titan, meaning today, an hour ago, we actually got both episodes. So we got 73 and 74. So today we're talking about both those episodes. So it'll be a little bit longer than normal, but, stay with us. As always, all the timestamps are down below. So if there's just one specific show you want to go to that show. It makes it nice and easy. And yeah, do you got any other thoughts or anything like that?
I think that was everything. I think the only other thing to touch base on was the 100 subscriber special.
Yes. As you guys know, we recorded a 100 subscriber special. We did a Q&A, so we asked for questions. We received actually way more than we thought we were going to. Yeah. We sat down and recorded it. It actually turned out to be a full 2-hour-long video, I believe. And then after that, there was some technical difficulties. My editing laptop broke. Had to wait for a replacement charger and all this kind of stuff. And then some of the files and stuff are lost, but it has all been recovered. So it is coming out. Luckily, unlike our weekly podcast, this is something that doesn't really have a time limit. Yeah. Most of it's just personal questions to us, just stuff we enjoy, thoughts about certain things. So none of it is really aged. So that it'll still come out. And that way, if you guys are watching, we came out with that when we had 100 subs. Now we have the 366. By the time it comes out, maybe the 400. So that just means that there's more people to get to know us from that Q&A.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, keep an eye out. It should come out sometime this week, probably between this week's episode and next week's episode. So yeah, same thing on there. Obviously, you're not going to be discussing all your anime on there, but just leave us a comment letting us know you watched it and you liked it, or anything you agree with us on or disagree with us on. And yeah, other than that, we'll just get into today's episode. And first up, as with every other week right now, we have ReZero, episode number 49.
Choose me.
Choose me. So obviously, just by going off the title, big focus of this episode, there was a lot to do with Beatrice.
Yeah, we actually got to see a little bit more of her internal monologue on this one, as opposed to just everyone else reacting around her.
We did. So big focus on her. As we left off from last episode, it was kind of the closing to the Garfield and Elsa fight. We knew that was kind of the end. We kind of got like the resolution for a couple different storylines in this, or very close to anyways.
Yeah, we got a lot of things tying together and kind of resolving themselves to a degree.
Yeah, I typically find ReZero it's still like one of my favorite shows to talk about, but it is also one of the hardest ones to talk about because it's the farthest one back in the week, right?
It is.
Because we record these on Sundays, and then I think that comes out every single Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad. At least it's not like it comes out on Monday or like,
Oh yeah, we're not a full week behind.
Not a full week, but it's definitely one of the harder ones. I think this week I watched it a couple days later, which helped.
I will fully admit, I think I watched it last night.
Hey, well, that means good. You have a fresh memory to remind me. Where we left off last episode, the last thing was Ram burning the book, I believe.
Yeah, Ram burned Roswell's book. Roswell slapped her, and then Amelia came out, and everything was snowy.
Yes, exactly. So last week we had a few questions. We wondered if the snow was still actually from the Roswell thing, if it was maybe from like Puck's creation, because we've seen Puck go kind of snowy before too.
Yeah.
So those kind of questions got answered for us. I think we'll break this down by part. So I think we'll break down the sanctuary part first.
Okay.
Because obviously leading to a big portion of the episode and like a lot of the emotional part of the episode is based around Beatrice, which is currently Mansion. So I think we'll start with Sanctuary. So obviously Amelia comes out. She's just finished the third trial. Everything's good in life, and then it's snowing. As a viewer, you're kind of panicking a little bit because you know either way, like either one of our predictions, like if it was actually Roswell's, magic snow, then that brings bunnies. Bunnies eat everybody. They die.
Yeah, but even if it's just Puck, if it's still magic, it still brings bunnies and everyone still dies.
Not only that, but yeah, that's also fucking. We've seen Subaru just get decapitated from the cold, right? Like, that's still everyone still dies. So either way, it wasn't good, unless it was actually just a freak blizzard and no magic required. But that wasn't even an option. But yeah, she comes out. She sees all the villagers. They're all safe. They mentioned that like a great spirit came and like protected them and that kind of stuff, and wanted Amelia to have a message. Yeah, and that's kind of where she's like, oh, like Puck, even though. I at this point, does she not still think Puck's like gone?
I don't know, because didn't she gave Puck to Subaru basically, didn't she?
Yeah, but after it was, she gave like the broken crystal.
Yeah,
thinking that like Puck had left her.
I don't know. I mean, Puck is still technically there. He's just not under contract.
We don't know all the rules of the whole spirit thing. I'm sure somebody who's big into the manga or whatever will give us some bonus details on that. But yeah, so she realizes that Puck's there, helped the villagers. She came out, and then she sees like the big like tower thing. It's like a big, almost looks like a ice tree.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, well, this is easy. I got to go to that place. And then you're kind of after that, you're switched over to Roswell's perspective. He's kind of sitting there. He's a little bit sad, that Ram's all sorts of gift, but also sad that his book's all burnt. And Puck still doesn't really give a fuck. He has a very like lax attitude.
I mean, that's Puck. He's always like that.
Yeah. So Roswell kind of is going a little bit insane. He's sitting there. He can't really figure out what to do.
He officially has no direction left in his life, which he's been following this book ever since.
Yeah. Book tells him what to do. That's what his entire life's been about, right? As we've seen with him and Subaru, the constant part is that.
Yeah, which we did kind of get in this episode a little bit more explanation of what's going on with Roswell.
We did, because one of the big questions we had earlier was the Roswell we saw, is he like old? Was it the same one that was making out with Echidna early on? And it isn't. So there's a little fact we didn't know. That's actually just a bunch of Roswells.
Yeah, I do think he's passing his soul down directly.
You think so? You think he still has like the memories and all that kind of stuff?
I think so, because he was specifically researching how to reincarnate a soul. Mm-hmm. So I think he was just passing himself down to keep following the book. But
so do you think they still have to have a physical child just to pass the soul into, though? Like they actually need to have a kid of like their bloodline and then do it? Or is it like some sort of weird cloney shit?
I mean, my big question is, can you think of a woman who would want to be with Roswell other than Ram?
I don't know. Some bitches like clowns. Harley Quinn?
Okay.
Crossover episode? I mean, he's kind of Joker-like. Yeah,
that's a whole other discussion
because that starts when like a Beatrice thing. It's like an old. He kind of has like some stubble on his face. Introduces himself. or he like leaves, and then the young Roswell comes in. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm Roswell B. Mathers. I passed down the name or like that, and he's introducing himself to Beatrice, and then it kind of shows a few more just constantly happening.
Like if he actually is just having a kid and raising them, do you really think that the kids are going to be that down to dress like a clown every generation?
Maybe that's in their blood,
Maybe
it's just there. But I don't know. That still didn't really answer that many questions for us, because even at some point, like I think Beatrice mentions like the fact that he's like still acting like the other ones. He's like, oh, you like stop acting like this kind of thing. So I don't know. That would be interesting if like the soul was moved down, or if it is literally just every single child looks the exact same, all with the same name. That's a little sus. But yeah, in the sanctuary itself, Roswell, after he kind of freaks out, loses direction, he kind of starts healing Ram. Like
he freaks out. I think he realizes what he did.
Yeah, and he doesn't really seem to know what to do exactly. Before
he's doing something.
Yeah, before Amelia eventually like runs in, comes in the area.
Well, I mean, before that, the snow starts.
Yeah, okay. The snow starts from their perspective, yeah.
Yeah, and then Puck clarifies that it is in fact Roswell transcribed the spell before they started fighting.
So the fight was kind of useless.
I mean, Ram burned the book.
I guess that's the one outcome. But yeah, the snow starts from their perspective, so obviously we're seeing it at kind of two different timelines. Amelia runs in. She's like trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. They look like they're almost like half frozen to death.
Yeah.
She kind of slaps Roswell a few times, gets him to wake the shit up. And then from there, they decide to go to the spot, right, to try and stop the snow.
She goes.
Because where does Puck go? Because she doesn't see Puck.
Puck went there first.
Mm-hmm.
He used his power to try and stop it, and then he went back to crystal form, and then they gave her the crystal back.
Yes, I was trying to remember, because I was like, wait, she never runs into Puck. I was like, so that means Puck did something. Yeah, he like slows them down, right? Like
he delayed the activation.
Yeah, so she goes there, kind of slaps Roswell, basically gives him the old classic pep talk, being very Subaru these days, as we've seen from her a few episodes. He's basically like, oh, let's just like give up on everything, like nothing's worth it. And then she's trying to like, pep him up.
He lost one fight, he's just done.
Yeah, just over. He lost his cool book, he lost his cool maid. Everything's over for him.
I mean, Ram's still alive.
As far as we know.
I mean, she was coughing, so she's not dead.
As far as we know.
I mean, do you think
what if the coughing's actually just COVID?
God damn it!
Crossover episode with real life.
Oh, that's just sad.
But yeah, because then after that they go to the place we've seen, the place with all the little Ryuzus.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole part was kind of like confusing, because I'm like, I originally was like, are they bad Ryuzus? Like one of these a bad Ryuzu? I'm like, what are they doing here? I'm like, okay, I'm confused now at like what the shit's going on anymore. But in general, it just seems like they kind of go in. Amelia has broken the whole curse of the sanctuary thing.
Yeah.
And then she just kind of stops the snow too.
Well, they don't actually stop the snow, because the rabbits show up.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, so there was a whole thing about how it makes it all pointless if they don't do something about the core, and they left with the core or fused with it.
Okay, that's it. So you're seeing it, right? You're seeing a little bit of confusion into what the hell's going on.
There is
like when she first walks into the room, and there's like one of them, because there's like two different main ones we've seen. The other ones are all kind of closed. There's like the Shima and whatever the hell the other one is. And then they're both like, one of them's up there like banging on something, like kind of freaking out a little bit, and then the other one's at the front. And I'm just like, they're talking about like what's going on, and I'm just like sitting there watching. I'm just like, I don't get it. Like I'm lost now.
My understanding was that they had to do something with the original, or something bad would happen. I can't remember exactly what that was.
Because then after that, though, we don't really see how that's resolved. Then they just like walk out. They leave.
Just vanish. Yeah.
They leave outside, and then there's like rabbits and shit. And Amelia's like, oh, go to the villagers. I'll fend these things off, until eventually, then later, Amelia has fended them off until she gets back at the front of the trials.
Yeah.
Basically told everyone to run inside the graveyard thingy, while she kind of protects from the rabbits.
Yeah.
And is that where we leave off with her for a second until we get to the other?
Yes, that's where we leave off with her.
So she's using her cool ice magic key to basically shoot as many rabbits as she can. But it's still not going to look well for them, because, Amelia's good and all, but she's not killing all these rabbits at one time good.
I mean, yeah, I think we saw her do more in this episode combat-wise than any time before.
Since maybe the first episode where she, beat those thugs up.
I mean, yeah, true.
I think that, if anything, I thought the outcome, my guess was going to be that Roswell kind of like nuts up, realized like, you know what, I'm just going to go with him now. And then he comes out and he destroys all the rabbits.
I wouldn't have been surprised, or maybe Puck comes back with a little bit of magic and does something.
Yeah, maybe they team up. Roswell's got the fire, Puck's got the ice.
Yeah.
They bring the hot and cold, and then they come out there. They take out all the rabbits. That would have been my guess halfway through the episode. But then most of the episode, it's hard to like deep discussion into it because a lot of it's just kind of like back and forth between Beatrice and Subaru. You are seeing like a lot of it comes from Garfield and them, Garfield, Petra, Frederica, and holding Rem. They're all out of the mansion. They're looking back on like the fiery remains, knowing that Subaru has stayed because he's looking for Beatrice, right? He's trying to convince her to come. In the last episode at the very end, she's like, hey, so are you the one? And he's just like, no, you stupid bitch, I'm not the one. And then she kicks him out. And then he's got to spend the rest of the time looking for the room again. So he's just opening up every single door.
Yeah, running through a burning building.
A burning man. He's got to have some sort of like smoke issues going on right now.
Yeah, he's going to be coughing a lot next episode.
And then even after he eventually does find her, upon again saying that he's not like the one, she kicks him out again and he's got to find the door. And he basically goes down to like the basement spot. And it's like the last door and the building's about to collapse on him. So he's like, well, if like... if you don't open this door now, he's like, I'm dead. So he opens it up, falls through. Of course, it is like the actual library this time, so he's there.
Yeah, which is on fire, and there's a big broken gash across
some
it.
Purpley dimension shit going on.
I think it's meant to be that like the library's breaking down, but
yeah, like the library part, I didn't. One of the fun things that they mentioned in this episode too is that like the library was the thing before. They just moved it to the mansion.
Yeah,
once she went there.
Yeah, it's part of her ability. And the Echidna specifically said, like, I'll write down all my stuff and put it here.
Yep.
That way it's all recorded and saved, and then you just give it to that person.
Yes. So some of this, again, is showing from, like, Beatrice's, like, she has a couple, like, memories to go up. More questions, again, about the Echidna character.
Yeah.
Because, once again, in the entire episode...
We did get to see her eye.
We saw it, like, a close-up with the thing, but still, the rest of the entire thing, they have not shown her whole face at one time. I know. Also, I'm still wondering if it's the same voice actress. Because it doesn't sound like the same one that does Echidna. It sounds closer to Amelia. This could be sus. I don't know. I'm not trusting any of this now. But I don't know. Once again, they show her in a few like different flashbacks and that kind of stuff. And she's still like, when she gives her the book, explains like, you got to wait for this person kind of thing.
Right.
They show her and they never show her entire face at one time. They show it aggressive close up on like the eye where you can see the eyelash. Yeah. But still not the whole thing. And that's just weird to do to me. Unless it's just really weird, like some sort of directing thing they're going for.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
Maybe I'm just not good enough director to get it. I don't know. But
they've been really driving the creative aspect of this, going for like the full 30-minute episodes, no openings, no endings. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this is a whole like Beatrice just isn't looking her in the eye the entire time she's dealt with her type thing. But
yeah, the most of it, anyways, it's just a lot of emotional back and forth.
Yeah.
Beatrice being like, "No, I can't go with you. You're not the one." And Siri would be like, "Hey, stop being such a little bitch. Like pick your own destiny." Stop just doing whatever, like, your mom told you. He's like, I'm not the one. He's like, but I still like, I still want to help you, that kind of thing,
Yeah. I think the most interesting part of it was when he turned to her and just said, I don't need to save you. You can save yourself. I need you to save me.
He's like, I'm weak as shit. He's like, look, you're way stronger. He's like, it would just be stupid of me to ask for, to ask me to save you. You saved me until eventually in the episode, she takes his hand finally. Yep. They become a cool, pink beam of light flying through the sky. And when you see that, because we're shown it as like the perspective of Garfield and them watching outside the mansion.
Yeah, they see the mansion basically start to collapse, and they're like, well...
they're like, well, Subaru fucked. Like, he done.
Oh, he had a good run.
And then they see the pink beam, and they're like, oh, yeah, he ain't fucked. And then, like, as the viewer, like, oh, that's cool. Like she took his hand, that kind of stuff. But we're like... Where's this beam going though? I'm like, what?
Yeah, it flies over Garfield.
Yeah, I thought they were just gonna land beside Otto and then be like, "Hey guys, it's us in a beam."
Yeah, I was expecting like a superhero landing from Subaru or something. Just
on
like
his knees, just comes up.
Yeah, just like, "Hey guys."
But yeah, no. In fact, where the beam goes, which is the end, it lands right behind Amelia. Where then Subaru gives some words of wisdom at the very end before walking out, and then it pans down, looking at his hand where he's holding Beatrice's hand, and she kind of bitches at him a little bit.
I mean, that's Beatrice's thing,
implying that there's going to be a big bunny fight in the next episode.
My favorite part was when Subaru was like, leave it to me. It's like, what are you going to do, man?
He was like, I got this. I'm like, you had one thing you could do, like, magic-wise, and you can't even do that currently. What is his play?
I don't know, because he walks
He's
in
like, leave it to me. Just, like, throws Beatrice at the front. He's like a Pokemon. Go, Beatrice, I choose you.
Because even the way he said it sounded weird, because he didn't say... I've got a score to settle, or I'm gonna win round 2. It was I'm gonna have to revise my previous fight with these guys.
Yeah, and Amelia's like, huh? He's like, God, don't worry about it.
He's like, yeah, no, you wouldn't get it inside.
It's like, did you really have a previous fight with these guys? They just came out and ate you. I don't know if that's much of a fight.
I mean, that's a matter of semantics, but
I still think that Roswell's going to come out and help them, though.
probably. I mean, maybe we're gonna get to see some of the invisible fist from Subaru, and
Oh, that's true. That is something he has now that he didn't have when his first fight with the rabbits.
yeah. The problem is it's one hand.
Yeah, you're going to individually, like, somehow... like whip it around and cut all the rabbits' heads off at one time. Some Luffy shit. You know?
I don't know at this point.
I'm assuming they're all going to team up and fight it, and then like it's still going to seem like it's not going very well because even as they kill them, killing them all at the exact same time is pretty hard. And I think Roswell's going to come out. He's obviously got some big ass powerful magic. I think in this episode he was called like the most powerful like human.
Yeah, the most skilled mage in the world.
Yeah,
no human can match him.
He's like the Krillin of the ReZero world.
That's a really sad. I love Krillin. Don't get me wrong, but that's a really sad comparison.
I mean, it's only sad because of how many stupid things they have in Dragon Ball Z.
I mean,
Krillin is the strongest human, so it's a legit title. But yeah, I don't know. Next episode, obviously, we're going to start with a big bunny fight. This is 49. I hate whenever they're not just season 2 episode this. How many episodes are left?
I think they're going to 50 or 52. So
52 seems like too many because I think it'll be over by then. Probably 50 because I think they do 25 episodes a season, don't they?
That would make sense, yeah.
Which means that you think the next one's gonna. I guess it's in a place so the next one could be the finale.
Yeah,
that would be the final end to the sanctuary.
They could
and the mansion.
They could very easily just trail it off at the end of the bunny fight and leave it open for the next season.
I think like half bunny fight, half like almost like an epilogue to the season, a little cliffhanger after the credits, maybe, unless they're saving the cliffhanger for the director's cut. Again.
I mean, they'll probably have some sort of reunion with Garfield and the rest of them, and maybe have some reference to Ram meeting Rem again.
Yeah, I guess, but it's like at this point, the whole Rem thing definitely isn't solved.
Well, I mean, this is kind of contributing to it because they deal with the bunnies. That's one step towards getting her back.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be weird when it ends because we've mentioned this before. Just like the pacing and stuff. I still think it's like people are gonna look back at it as a good season.
Yeah.
But yeah, from what I've heard for like manga arcs and stuff like that, it only gets better. So I'm very much excited for future seasons. Hopefully, once this one ends, we only have to wait like another year. Till probably like next winter
Series
season.
have gotten to a pretty good beat of just doing a 1 year off and then going back into
because of the whole like Corona thing, there's still some places that don't have full working staff and everything like that. So that whole system might be delayed a little bit. But either way, there's definitely no doubt that they will get another season.
Oh, definitely. The nice thing about the anime industry is once they got the installations in place for them to work from home, I think it's a lot more cohesive than it was at the start of this. But
either way, we will be talking about ReZero next week, obviously. Going to be pretty big. If you have any thoughts, theories, anything like that on this episode, let us know. And as always, if you have any corrections for us, that's kind of the big one, or extra information because we are not. I was about to say we're not manga readers. We have read
source
manga
materials.
Yeah, we don't typically dive into the source material first to know all this kind of background information. So if you have background information on like Roswell, the Ryuzus, anything like that, some of those just small key details, we probably
explain
missed.
what happened with the reuses for us because we're both screwing that up.
Yeah, we're stupid. Give us some good information. We're missing all this like subtle intricacies. We're just like, oh, big cat fight. We notice all that kind of stuff.
Pretty light.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit. Ooh, pink beam. We're simple folks, so let us know down below about all the subtle intricacies we missed. Okay, next up on the list, The Promised Neverland, episode number 10.
Still no name.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it was a good episode. I guess.
I mean, it was better.
Yeah. It had a lot in this episode.
It did. Yeah.
When we knew last week, we left off with them basically starting this plan about going to rescue all the children from the plants and then escape to the human realm.
Which, thankfully, they decided to put all the children in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, I guess they mentioned bringing Phil and all those farm kids there, but they didn't say they're going to bring all the farm children there.
Yeah, well, they said they were going to do all of them because they were going to transfer them over to the Lambda project.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, you could, they could have just said that and then not brought the children. It could have been the bait
easily,
without having the bait there. But I guess good thing they did. It really helped out, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. There's actually a lot to there's so many things in this episode without I don't know. I'm trying to think of there's 2 episodes left probably.
Yeah, probably at most.
Where do you go from this episode? There wasn't even really a cliffhanger at the end that was implied. The cliffhanger at the end was more like an emotional cliffhanger, not any sort of plot. It seems like they've won.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they only did one more episode. And I didn't look up the actual season run for this one, but
no, you typically just always assume it's the same as the first one, and I don't remember if the first one had 11 or 12.
I'm pretty sure it was 12.
But okay, so most of it, as we know, the big cliffhanger at the end of the last episode was, if anything, the Vincent character was about to betray them.
Yeah.
Immediately, anyways, that's a red herring. The Vincent character, the betrayal is part of their plan. Basically,
Yeah.
like I sure most people could have suspected, to give away information that they want to give away, to then specifically plan out some certain things. Everything still goes too well for them, which is still probably the biggest issue in the episode. It all still revolves around the fact that they got this piece of technology that like this
20
guy
years out of date.
Yeah, that it has like all the information for like all the electrical work, like the doors. Like they are literally this is their first time in this place and they're running the show.
Yeah.
They have all security cameras. They have all like the intercom systems, the doors.
Like this place hasn't had a single upgrade in 20 years apparently.
I guess maybe like there's a thing where maybe they never needed it because like no one's ever really broken in or broken out.
You're telling me a camera never broke down or
never. No. That every like 10 years, like, hey, should we like update some of our systems? Like, no. We already have a pen out there with all the information on it. We don't really want to risk this. I'm currently looking up to see if I can find what it says for the episodes. I'm pretty sure there's only gonna be 11 episodes because it says total 22. First season had 12.
So that means this was the last episode?
It doesn't say upcoming ones. It can't, right? Because this isn't gonna be the last episode. I guess it just doesn't say upcoming episodes on Wikipedia, anyways. If we assume it's going to be 12 like the last one, that would kind of make sense. They could probably resolve the whole thing in 12 episodes.
I mean, yeah, do an episode dedicated to getting the cure for their whatever disease.
Because they didn't touch on that in this episode at all.
Yeah, then do another episode where they just find their way back to the human world.
Seems like they're right there, though. That's.
I know. I thought that I guess the elevator takes them down to the lower levels where the cure and then the gate is.
Maybe.
Unless they already got the cure because it's like they got the recipe when they hacked it. Because the guy seemed to do a lot when he hacked it. He shut everything down. He disabled all the chips for some reason.
Yep.
And yeah, just did everything. And
it just seems like this kind of feels like the whole, hey, you know what? We actually are pretty sure we're not getting another season now.
Yeah.
So let's get shit out fast. It's like, hey, remember how like we hinted at Isabella coming back? She's going to come back in this episode, but like it's not really going to matter.
She never actually accomplished what she was trying to accomplish, but she's now grandmother anyways and in a position of power. And oh, by the way, all the chips that are designed to destroy their hearts are now deactivated because reasons.
Yeah. So I guess we should actually describe what happens in the episode quickly. I was about to say in case you haven't seen it, but
I feel like we just described it pretty well, actually.
Yeah, most of it is just them breaking into the farm.
My favorite part about that was when they just said, like, by the way, we've got like 30 hot air balloons.
Yeah, where did they get those?
Apparently, they just made them in the course of like an hour.
Yeah, okay. So, the way they get into the farms is they have a bunch of hot air balloons. Now, some of them are decoys. There's nothing in them except for like explosives. So when they get shot down, but I mean, like,
thank God they only shot those.
Yeah, how did they plan that? They did like run simulations to be like, okay, yeah, the odds of us getting shot down instead of the fake ones really low.
I mean, my biggest question is like, why are the demons all using spears when there are heavy firearms everywhere?
I don't know.
Like they could have very easily have just shot them down before they even got to the edge of the farms.
Yeah, the whole plan obviously seems like pretty fast. Like it seems like they could have done a lot more. Because yeah, they're just. I
don't think they could have.
They're just throwing spears at the balloons. Every single one that they hit and comes down is just an explosive. The kids are still all in the balloons. Like everyone else is in the balloons, but they all land safely.
Yeah, Sanju just jumps out of one. It's like, well, thank God they didn't think to shoot that one.
Yeah, Sanju and then the rest of the like experiments from Lambda, they're just kind of keeping people busy. So they land in the farms and they just start killing all the security.
Yeah.
While all the other like kids land, they go inside of the well near their house. And they're using that to break into like the whole underground system.
Yeah.
Where from there they like give a message out to Phil about what to do, and with all the other farm kids who are all coming as well.
Yeah, because I guess they had like the youngest kids like disguise themselves and like infiltrate into the groups. And,
Yep.
Because I guess no one does head counts.
We didn't see that, but I mean,
well, they just showed up and
the kid's just there all of a sudden, and Phil's like, "Hey, I know you," and she's like, "Here's a note."
Yeah, and my biggest question is like, I understand Phil trusts them, but all the other kids?
Yeah, the kids from all the other farms.
There's like
these like who don't even know at this point, like unless they all also have like a kid who's like, hey, I know what's going on. Because many of these other farms we assume would be like have no idea that there's anything weird going on.
Yeah, because like even the farm that did know was a very exclusive circumstance.
Yeah.
Unless Phil's been like inseminating information throughout.
I mean, that's obviously why they use the whole plan around playing tag with all the.
Yeah.
But what if the other farms don't even play tag? What if that's not their game? What if like actually our farm plays basketball? So we don't understand your tag shit. You know?
I mean, even then, like, would they think to run away from the people they call mom?
I don't know. Well, you think the mom would be like, "Hey, come back." They'd be like, "Okay, game's over. Mom's serious now, guys. Let's head on back." I don't know. There's a lot of flaws there where this could have went wrong, but luckily nothing did.
I mean, yeah.
Anyways, it all kind of just accumulates to the fact they get to the elevator. They're just about to go down the elevator, and elevator doesn't work. They're all here. Every character basically is in this room. I think the only one that isn't there is I don't think Sanju's there. Sanju and Mujika aren't there yet.
Yeah, they aren't there yet. The demons have not arrived yet.
Yes. And so they try to use the elevator. It doesn't work. And then who comes out but grandmother Isabella and all of the other moms with their fucking machine guns. All up top, aimed at them, ready to go.
I feel like we transitioned into a Hitman game at some point. Just
yeah, it's just all these ladies in maid outfits with their full automatic guns.
Oh my god.
Where were those guns when they were shooting down the hot air balloons?
Apparently demons just don't know how to use them.
Maybe. But yeah, so she comes out, obviously you're like, oh, there's Isabella again. This is about to get real antagonistic.
Yeah.
And then out comes what the hell's his
Rattree.
Rattree's his last. We do get some fun
James,
information that for some reason we didn't put together earlier. Which is that his brother is Minerva.
Yeah. William Minerva was his brother. I guess he was the one who destroyed him and his companions.
It's Peter Rattree.
Is it Peter or is it Petrie?
I think it's Peter. Maybe
Pietro?
No, it's not. It's not the guy from WandaVision. I feel like it's Peter Rattree. Yeah, it is Peter Rattree.
Okay.
I don't remember what his brother's name was because we only know
I'm pretty
him
sure it was James.
I think James Minerva was the fake name.
It was William Minerva.
Yeah, William is the long form of James. I don't know if that's true. Okay. I try to see it is.
Speaking of somebody who has James in their name, I want to slap you right now.
He is the younger brother of James Rattree.
Okay.
There we go.
Give me some it's my goddamn name. What the hell?
We solved it together. But yeah, so he comes out, obviously, like, hi, you stupid dumbass children. And then he kind of thinks that he's won. He's obviously got the cocky smile. That's when Isabella's like, guess what, actually? I'm not on your side. The classic twist. And then, Emma, they're like, oh, Mom. And she's like, well okay, there, Emma. I'm not on your side either. We just have, interests that currently link up. Then Emma's still like, Mom. She's like, good try.
Which I do want to know, does, are they big sisters or are they mothers? I can't remember what the title is for the women that run the farms.
Mothers,
okay. Is firearms training part of that?
We assume. I think they show Isabella doing training in some, the flashbacks or like that. Yeah. Or they show the other girl who is the sister there when she gets there because she's the mom in training.
Right.
And I think they're doing some pretty intense training.
Okay, I just don't remember any type of firearms training. So it's why do they know how to use AKs?
I mean, I guess you never know when you're going to need it.
That was a really accurate shot when she blew the thing out of his hand.
Yeah. Yeah, so as soon as she kind of reveals that, they're actually all turned and, her plans just line up with Emma's. I don't know if their plans is also just to escape to the human world or take over the farms.
It kind of sounds like she wants to take over the farms, but I feel like she has a very much a vibe of I don't want to kill children anymore.
Yeah, that would be my guess, or else she would just take it over from him and then still have all those children be take back to the farms.
Yeah, unless she's gonna turn them into actual farms where they grow vegetables and maybe chickens.
I mean, maybe. But yeah, even there, so once that comes around, Ratree's like, haha, you idiots, I'll just press my button with the chip, and then that gets shot out of his hand, and they're like, all those are deactivated anyways, you stupid idiot.
I do like how she knew that.
Yeah, of course. And then Rattree goes on about how it doesn't matter because he's basically it's almost not
reinforcements are coming.
I guess reinforcements are coming, and he kind of goes over the fact of I don't know. I'm trying to remember in which order this happens. About his he's the what do they call him, the gatekeeper?
Yeah. His family's passed down the responsibility.
Yeah, his family's passed on the responsibility, so he's trying to be the best one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure what happens is he says reinforcements are coming. Then they find out that people are rising up and
the reinforcements are coming, but then it turns out it's actually not the reinforcements. It's the regular demon, village folk who are being led by Sanju Mujika and the old man.
Yeah,
and his alternate demon reality, Emma. And he kind of comes in and then, he talks about how, these demons, they don't need to eat people.
Yeah.
And that's where Ratree's like, oh, she's the evil-blooded one when he sees Mujika come in. Freaks out a little bit. And his whole plan at this point is kind of fucked. He's just this life sucks, all that kind of shit. And it kind of ends with Emma walking up to him, holding out her hand and being come with us kind of thing.
Which, once again, it's just Emma, just let somebody die.
Yeah, I get her logic. It's you know what? Just like them, it's really that it's not any one current living human's fault. His job is he's always been raised to just be a gatekeeper, and that's his job. But I mean, clearly he has an extra level of evil because
He seemed to enjoy it just a little bit too much, first of all.
well, yeah, his whole plan now is just to take out even like the human aspect of the humans and just immediately like inject them with something that makes them have the brain that tastes better. And you just even eliminate that one little part where at least, hey, these humans get to live decent lives until they're like 10.
It's like they're no longer free range. They're now just completely processed.
Not to mention, like, Emma making this decision when she's with a bunch of people whose lives were like completely ruined directly by him, like all the other.
Oh, don't worry, don't worry. Norman said it's okay.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to be. But yeah, so her saying this, that's the kind of like the cliffhanger at the end, which is fine. It's like an emotional cliffhanger. Will he like agree? Will he like slap her? That kind of thing. But the real question is, where does the show go for the next 1 to 2 episodes? Because right now it seems like they should just be able to say whether or not he says, yeah, I'll come with you, or no. They hit the button, elevator down, they go human realm.
In theory, yeah. I guess there's... Because we didn't see what the actual reinforcements were doing. They said they were just watching the villagers walk in. Mm-hmm. Why?
Too many of them?
They're just fucking farm folk. They don't even have weapons.
I don't know. Listen, numbers always is better, The more numbers, plus not to mention, even like the people who work there might just have given up, They might be like, hey, we're down, just be also these evil-blooded ones.
I mean, is that an option? Like, yeah, give me some.
Just join the numbers, right? Slowly. And then maybe they'll turn the actual farms into just like farms.
I mean, I guess theoretically, but does that mean someone's going to stay behind with them and make that happen?
Maybe.
Does that mean, like, are we going to get an episode dedicated to them going around just like digging up the recipe for the cure for the other guys?
I think that if this is the actual end of the show completely, then we probably will have a pretty big epilogue episode explaining how life is going to work from now on.
Oh my god, do you think they're going to gotcha man this and just pull like a full recap episode before the end?
They better not. After already having a recap episode this season, that would probably be the worst thing they could possibly do.
I know, but I mean,
I feel like if anything, the obvious answer is that there's some sort of twist that comes up, right? Like they can't actually go to the human, like the gate doesn't work, or
what's left? What's left for the fuck up? Like there's the gate, and then there's like the royalty showing up.
What if it's like a twist where they finally get to the human world, but then like the demons were lying, and like 500 years ago, the demons like, hey, you know what? What if we also just go to the human world and eat them too? And like they actually had like a war there. Now that world is also mostly taken over by demons making farms, and they're like, oh fuck.
Oh god.
Like, trying to lead into some sort of weird season 3.
I mean, maybe. I think it's pretty bold to assume they're going to get any more after this.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it depends on... I still, once again, we don't know anything about the manga, so we obviously know some information about like
we're in uncharted waters at this point. This is not manga from what I know.
We know about some things that they skipped it, obviously, but we don't really know the end of like the manga and like, where they went from there, if they got even older, if there was more arcs other than this, or if they just skipped a bunch, so this is actually kind of where the manga ends.
Well, I mean, the original creator said he didn't like the ending, right?
Yeah, but I feel like most people don't, like when they look back on things that they've done, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. But so this is supposed to be different from the ending of the manga then, because that's the reason they skipped the Sandy Pond arc. Mm-hmm. So that means we're just getting random bullshit thrown at us at this point.
Yeah, and at this point, it seems like it's not exactly sticking. Like, it would be one thing if you wanted to change your ending to make more people like it and you had like good ideas about it. But the way they've been doing it so far have clearly not been well executed.
Oh my god, you know what they're going to do? Emma's going to get knocked out. She's going to wake up and it's all been a dream.
It's in the house still?
No, it's going to be like right after they escaped, it's just going to skip to like, now you're in the Sandy Pond arc.
What a twist. Yeah, that'd be kind of funny just as like a troll if they're like, hey, we're not getting another season. Let's just do this hyper troll in the last episode. But yeah, obviously the big question for us is just where it's going to go. And, luckily it's only a week until we find out, and we'll be talking about it next week as always. If you have any theories, thoughts, opinions on Promised Neverland, obviously, how you thought that this season went so far. Like if you are a manga reader, like what you thought about the skipping of, the specific arc, what you think about like how the manga ended, where you think this is going to end, anything like that. As always, if it has spoilers, I don't think many people care at this point about Promised Neverland spoilers.
Spoil away. I don't care about this one.
Still, try to leave the space. That way people just are happy just in case. But yeah. We'll be back talking about Promised Neverland, episode number 11 next week. Could be the finale, might not be the finale. Yeah. We'll look more into it before we get to that episode.
I miss being excited about this show.
Maybe something will come up in the last episode to excite you. The end. Got him. Okay. Next up on today's list, Quintessential Quintuplets, episode number 11. It's something.
Sisters War Part 1.
Part 1. Yeah, I knew it was Part 1. Obviously, so last week we mentioned, we're like, hey, next week we'll talk about Horimiya instead of Quintessential Quintuplets.
Yeah, we just missed the major like resolution arc on Horimiya because of you.
So now that I've caught up on Horimiya, today's episode, while good, was not really important to anything. It was not that relevant. It was about a side character and like his sister kind of thing. While Quintessential Quintuplets, though, not only is it the school trip, but there's drama at the school trip.
Yeah, I think we could sum this up pretty quickly. Ichika's a bitch.
Okay, let's stop blaming Ichika, okay? That was clearly not her fault. She tried to stop. Which one was it? Was it? It was Yotsuba. Yotsuba was the one who said, no. Yeah.
Yotsuba was the one who said it. But it only happened because Ichika was doing something that scummy in the first place.
It wasn't even scum. Okay, we're going to have to get into this step at a time.
God.
Okay, so obviously, it's a school trip. They've separated into their groups. They're on a bus, all this kind of stuff. Basically, they're all trying to think about how they can get ahead, or at least the ones we know that are after Futaro, Usagi, whatever you prefer to call him.
Usugi and...
He... Like at this point, we know Nino likes him, and she is going full train, full speed ahead after him. She's like,
no breaks.
Nothing will get in her way. She's gonna walk over anyone she has to do it. And now Ichika, as we've seen in the last couple episodes, has kind of also adopted that. She's like tired of being like, letting other people have what she wants just because she's the older sister. So now she's also very much like Nino, full speed ahead, and they're getting to like a little bit of a rivalry for it.
The biggest difference is Nino is very much trying to do it for herself. Ichika's trying to cut other people off at the knees.
All's fair in love and war. Ichika has her own way of playing. She's like the rogue. Nino's like the warrior. They just have two different fighting styles.
Even so, why is she going after Miku instead of Nino?
Two different fighting styles. Dude, that's all it is. But yeah, so then at the same time, obviously, third, we have Miku, who we also know likes him, but she has not been able to voice it so far. She keeps like making imaginary like barriers in her mind about, she can't do it until this. She can't do it till she has the best grade. She can't do it till this. Which to me that says she doesn't deserve it. It's a fact right there. Not a Miku fan. Get her out of here. And then obviously the other two sisters. So we've seen, especially in like the last week's episode, a decent amount of Yotsuba like character development.
Yeah,
definitely liked her more as a character then, and you can see more of the feelings for Usagi coming through. Yeah. But much like some of her other sisters at points, it looks like she would easily sacrifice her happiness for her sisters.
Yeah.
So she seems one of the farthest off to actually openly admit that she loves him.
I do want to note that even Nino came out and said like she wouldn't attack her other sisters in this process. The one who would actively drug someone she doesn't like.
Sucks to suck.
That shows you exactly how bad of a person Ichika is.
Nope, sucks to suck. Yeah, so those are the three that really, or I guess, Yotsuba obviously has feelings for him as well. But yeah, at least at this point right now, she's very much like Ichika early on in the season, where she would not do anything about those feelings. She's more in this episode, especially trying to help Miku. It's definitely, she's got like the alliance with Miku mainly right now. Probably because Miku seems so weak and frail, she needs help. The other two don't. They both have their own tactics.
The other two are insane.
Miku's like the cleric of the party, just sitting in the back lines doing nothing. But yeah, and then obviously, as always, you have Itsuki. Not really a big contender right now. She's been acting sus, as we saw the last episode. She clearly has some of like the Rena clothes, wig. She has the picture. So you're like, oh, she still must be the girl he met. / also probably the girl who has been pretending to be Rena, as we see. One interesting thing early on in the episode is when they're doing like their shopping trip preparing. And then Usagi and his sister are there, and that's where his sister mentions like, oh, like mention the girl in Tokyo, wherever it was. And it's what, Yotsuba at the time?
Yeah, she was with Yotsuba when they were talking about
that. And Yotsuba was, oh, like, who's this? And she's like, oh, like, this is the girl there that, she loved, or like that, and then, or that he loved. And she's like, oh, yeah, her name was like Rena. And Yotsuba's like, Rena? Obviously, we know Ren is the name of the mother.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously spoke to her a little bit there. And then we get some big information late in the game in the episode, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that after. We don't want to spoil that yet. So the school trip begins. They play some cards. They have a good time. And during one of the card games, I think it's Ichika's idea where she's like, hey, how about whoever is the winner of this? Like, what's the actual like stipulation? Whoever wins this gets like decide something, or
they get one order the others have to follow.
Yeah,
I think it was Nino who said it, wasn't it?
No, I think Ichika said it because then Nino made fun of her later for being like, you're the one who like wanted this, because Ichika had just won. Ichika had just won right before.
Right.
So yeah, right there you actually don't see who the winner is. You actually see that in a little bit later in like a little flashback scene.
Yeah.
But as their trip goes on, the basis behind the trip is that the three of them who have like the love for Usagi, who are like the most open about it, who the three all kind of know what's happening, they all got their own plans. They all want some sort of way, like Nino's envisioning like going on a shopping trip with him specifically.
Yeah.
Miku's plan is like to give him some shit she made that's good and maybe finally tell him that she loves him. And then Ichika's plan is to fuck over the other two. as it should be. You know, the easiest way to get ahead is by actually making other people get behind. So she's got the right way of looking at it in life.
I do like how she's that willing to throw her family bonds away. Just like, nope, fuck you.
Now, there is a side story here. Don't think we're leaving the side story behind. There's a creeper. There's a...
Yep.
I don't know. I really thought this was going to be resolved in this episode because I thought it was going to be like a red herring.
You'd think so, yeah, but...
At one point, I think it's Nino, and they show some sort of newspaper she's reading. And, you know, most of the time, especially if they're not subtitling it on the screen what the newspaper says, we don't read Japanese, so I don't think they did the first time when they showed it.
I don't think they did the first time. I don't think the first time mattered. I think it was the second time that was actually like detailing what was going on.
Yeah, so it constantly shows Nino in like groups, and she hears some sort of clicking sound, and she's like, "What the hell's that?" She looks around, nothing's there. Till eventually she mentions that, you know, she mentions this to the other girls, and she's like, you know, I think that like someone's taking, you know, our photograph, something like that, and then she mentions the newspaper being like, you know, there's a, what do they call them? Like a stalker or something, a creeper. Yeah. I don't know.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's something like that who's been around recently, like taking photos of people. So she starts to like panic. I think it's
somebody was even more aggressive than that. I think it went up to like groping and stuff like that. So.
But yeah, so that's what, like, you know, she thinks that, but you're like, oh, that's probably just like a red herring. And then at one point when they're in the hotel, you know, they hear the noise, they look around, there's like the phone creeping over the edge.
Yeah, they had a whole moment where they're like, it couldn't possibly be that. Then they just turned it out. It's like, oh, he's just a lot less subtle this time.
Yeah, so you know, one of them screams. That's why then they all kind of meet up there. I think like Futuro is talking with someone in the hallway. It might be Yotsuba or something like that.
I think Futuro left his group and was and just heard the scream and went towards them.
Mm-hmm. He was with someone though. I think he was with one of the girls at that point. He ran into them in the hall before hearing the scream. There was the two girls in the hall, and then there was Miku in the room.
I think he heard the scream and ran into Ichika on his way.
So, who is it actually? Do you think? Okay, you've read the manga. Do you actually remember any of this in the manga?
This particular part, I was really fixated on Ichika being a bitch. Okay. So no,
because I'm like, is this actually just gonna be like a guy who's a creeper, and this is maybe gonna be like a thing for Futuro to like stand up in the next episode and like be a man?
I'm trying to remember, but I keep just like referring back to things like Love Hina and Lucky Star, where it was just like a complete misunderstanding where they want something else that wasn't creepy.
Listen, what if it's one of the sisters? What if it's a twist character? Listen, he ran. Ichika wasn't there when the photographer was there, and he ran into Ichika on the way.
So let me get this straight. You think not only is Ichika a bitch, she's also...
Okay, well, no bitch. She's in the
She's also creeping. Like, she was with her for a few of those photos, though.
I don't know.
Like, she was just like snapping some really like awkward angle shots.
It just seems like a really, really weird subplot to throw in when there's all this other stuff going on. Like, we have this...
I don't think so, because I think it's going to be used as like a resolution point.
But like for what though?
Like the creeper tries something, gets his ass kicked by somebody, and they're like, "We're so thankful that you're okay," and they just kind of forget about everything for a day.
I mean, maybe, but I feel like they could have done that in multiple other ways. One of them could have almost fallen off a bridge or something, and someone catches them.
I feel like groper is just like a really easy way to translate. Like, this is something you don't have to feel bad about them getting punished for.
I guess. I mean, it could also, like, you know, what if it turns out to be like one of like the fucking blonde dude in like Usugi's group who's just like trying to get a cool photo of all five of the sisters together for his weird quintuplet collection or something, you know?
You think like the kind of thug looking guy might be doing that, or?
Well, the thing is, okay, at one point they mention how the five of them have not gotten a picture together since their last trip to Tokyo, which you're thinking is just another big hint that they're the people from the photo, which we already know. What if it's also just like a hint towards someone trying to take the photo of them specifically? What if like one of them's like, hey, can you get like they look at the blonde dude at one point, they're like, hey, can you get a photo of the five of us together at some point this weekend?
What if it was Usugi?
I mean, he was also there, and he's like
that's because they mentioned he didn't get a birthday present.
He didn't get a birthday present. He's trying to get a photo of the five of them together as the birthday present. I see.
Problem is, I don't think that there were five of them in any of the shots he tried to take.
Well, he's not always the smartest when it comes to certain things. He probably didn't even notice.
I mean, he's not the smartest at anything.
Maybe there was a mirror nearby and it reflected some of them, like two of them, and then he saw the two of them and he's like, "Oh, there's four of them. That's almost there." I know that's what I feel like it's going to be though. Like not that specifically.
It's going to be something like cheesy like that.
Yeah, you know, it's probably like at one point Ichika like looked over at someone in the class, like, "Hey, sometime this weekend, could you like get a picture of the five of us?" Like just meaning like she's going to give her phone, and this person's
I don't think it could be that because I don't think Ichika would be a good person.
And this person's like, "Oh, I'll get a picture of the five of you, even if it kills me."
Okay, that's a little bit more in line with Ichika.
But yeah, that's like it was just a weird subplot I thought I'd mention there because it's obviously going to have to come in the next episode. But yeah, most of the plot revolves around the fact that as they're wanting to follow Futuro and his group, they're going up these steps. They decide at one point to split into two teams based off of Yotsuba's suggestion because they have to, or was it Yotsuba?
Yeah, Yotsuba.
Yotsuba's because then the flashback they had to do whatever she says because she won the card game. So doing that, she decides that she's gonna go with Miku. That way they can kind of like get ahead. She's trying to assist Miku. Miku's got like what I'm assuming the snack, the cake, the croissant, whatever the hell it's gonna be to give to Futaro. And then the other team you have Ichika, Nino, and Itsuki.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they go up the two different sides. One's taking a really long ass time because Miku's like much physically weaker than the rest of them.
Yeah.
She's slow, gets tired easier. The other side they go up and they're like, hey, let's take a washroom break real fast.
Yeah.
And then while they're taking the washroom break, Ichika's like, I have an idea.
It just leaves.
And then she just goes. She just leaves. She goes to the top. She like decides to get ahead of her sister. She goes to the top. She puts on the Miku wig. What was she gonna do with the Miku wig?
She was gonna like talk to Futaro again and say something completely compromising. And
So either way, she gets up there. She sees she gets up there before anyone else gets up there. Then Futaro comes up somehow being delayed. I think it's actually mentioned in his group that they stopped for lunch.
Yeah, like
when the girls decided not to stop.
Like my
for
favorite
lunch.
part is like Itsuki was like, let's stop and get some food. And they're like, no.
They're like, no time.
And then like turns out Futaro was there.
If only they would have stopped for some food. But yeah, so then they come up, and then Futaro comes up, and Ichika's there, dressed as Miku, trying to talk to him. And as that happens, then from the other side behind Futaro comes up Miku and Yotsuba, and they see this. Well, they kind of see this.
They see because Futaro came up behind Miku and Yotsuba, didn't he?
So it's Ichika's here, and then she's in the wig waiting for Futaro to come up when Miku and Yotsuba come up and see her, and then she's like, "Oh fuck!" And they're like, "Hey, Ichika, why are you dressed like me? Like, why are you wearing the Miku outfit?" And then she's like, I don't know. And then Yotsuba starts to talk very loudly about how Miku
is trying to confess
to him. And then Ichika sees that Futaro's coming up, and she's like, no, stop, like Yotsuba, don't say anything. And then Yotsuba continues saying it anyways.
Yeah.
Futaro gets up, they look behind. Miku sees that her confession has basically just been ruined, starts crying, and she runs away.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of where it goes. And then Yotsuba and Futaro would leave to go try and like find her.
Yeah, Futaro goes to try and talk to her, but she ends up locking herself up in the room. And
on the bus ride back, they're taking a bus back after they find out that she went back to the hotel room, and it's Yotsuba and Futaro. That's where he like admits that he knew the whole time. He's like, I've known
it
that
wasn't
she
subtle. So.
Yeah, he's like, I've known that she likes me or whatever like that.
We could see he was just trying to figure out how to actually like deal with it because he still was trying to figure out the whole Nino thing. Who actually did confess?
Yeah, who did confess, and he didn't give her an answer either. So he has to deal with the Miku stuff, and he doesn't even know about the Ichika stuff yet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, kinda. Because
he knows that it was Ichika.
I think at that exact same part in the bus, he also admits that he knew that
it wasn't Miku who talked to him, and that must have been Ichika.
Yeah, and then it had to be Ichika, which we talked about this in one of the past episodes that we kind of. I thought that he knew who it was.
Yeah, it seemed a little. He seemed off put by everything. That was going on.
Like after that, we didn't hear about it. The next episode I was like, oh, he must not have actually known who it was. He must be an actual dumbass.
Yeah, but no, he was actually playing it subtly. So
yeah, he was playing it subtly, so he knows. So now he also knows that Ichika likes him. So he knows 3 of them like him. And a lot of the rest of it revolves around kind of just like trying to solve like Miku. She's hiding in the room. She's pretending to be sick. At one point, we see. I think it's who pretends. Is it Nino pretends to be her?
Nino pretends to be her. Talks to the teacher
because she's like, well, they won't believe it if 2 of us are sick. So instead, we'll just both pretend to be the same person to be sick. So yeah, I don't know. They're just trying to make Miku feel better about it all. Is like what most of it is. There is also one part where Itsuki, she didn't get much time this episode, but where she's also acting kind of sus.
Yeah.
She tries to get Futaro in one specific spot, and then wants a photo with him. Yeah. And then even in like her like inner monologue when she's talking, she's like, oh, like I thought this would bring back his memory kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of that day, and you're like, oh, it's got to be her.
Nope.
Like she's finally saying it, and then as the episode ends, it basically ends with her confronting Yotsuba and being like, hey, why don't you you have to tell Usagi that you're the one that he met here before. So quite the twist.
Yeah.
Quite the bit of information. Seeing as that's been one of the big secrets.
Yeah, the big question
since,
hanging
season
over everything.
1.
So the big question is, do you think this makes Yotsuba the main girl?
No. I think that we're definitely going to need more of a Yotsuba arc, but I still can't imagine right now. Yotsuba knows that. I think that she only technically knows that Miku likes Usagi. I feel like she would be having more.
I think she's figuring it out because Nino and Ichika are not being subtle about this.
They're not, no. But at the same time, I feel like she would have more internal strife about just helping Miku if she knew the other two also like loved him. Right now, as far as she knows, the only one that like basically has told her that they love him is her. That's why she's helping her so much.
She knows something's going on with them, and I think a big part of it too is that Miku had a very specific goal in mind that she could help with. Well, Nino and Ichika were more abstract, just try and get him alone type things.
Yeah, like basically Miku's goal was to find an opportunity to confess to him because she's been like stalling it on it for a long time. Nino's goal was just like, hey, I want to spend time with him. She's already confessed, right? She has nothing else to really go for.
She just has to try and cement her place.
Yeah, she has to just try to hang out with him as much as possible and eventually, convince him that, hey, he should respond to her now with how much he loves her too. And then like Ichika is trying to find her own way of battling, different from like her sisters because she can't be like them. She can't even come out like me. Like she acknowledges in this that like, she wishes that she could be like Nino and just come out and confess, but she can't. So her way of battling is a little bit more sneaky, which listen, once again, I'm all down for. You got to do what you got to do. So her way of battling, her school trip plans are really just like, I guess I have to just kind of like fuck with the other ones. Like,
I mean, there's so many better ways she could have tried to do this instead of like, especially considering Nino is the one who's the biggest danger to her right now, having already confessed and being the really aggressive one. Why would you not try and pretend to be Nino to do something?
I don't know. I guess like if anything, she's like, okay, well, Nino's already confessed. Like she can't take that back. Like, but maybe she can stop Miku from confessing. That way, there's only the two of them that are still competing. Really, to stall Miku out on it.
Yeah, but it has so much potential to backfire on her.
Well, we don't 100% know what her plan was using the Miku stuff when she got to the top. That's obviously, we didn't get to see the fruition of it.
She was probably going to say something like, oh, you should go be alone with Ichika in this place for a little while.
Yeah. Hey, you should, you know what? Just ignore all of us other sisters for the whole school trip.
I mean, that's right in line with her attitude.
Ichika's actually really sad right now. She could really use some companionship. So maybe just hang out with her. Maybe actually block all the other girls' phone numbers in your phone too, so they can't even call you if they wanted to.
Jesus, she's already turning into a crazy girlfriend. She hasn't even confessed.
But yeah, obviously the big thing at the end is the Yotsuba stuff. I am happy that means we're getting more Yotsuba, especially because she, much like her sisters, to be a competitor in this whole sister war, if you will, needs to also be like Ichika in a sense where she has to give up wanting to make her sisters happy over herself.
Yeah, but I mean, even Nino wanted to be able to actually look the other ones in the eye after the fact.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, it's still the fact that there's not a situation.
Only one of them can have him. That's,
unless it's
in theory,
unless they make some sort of deal. But yeah,
oh god,
realistically, only one can have him, which means Yotsuba at this point seems like it's just with her current character and personality. I don't imagine she's going to take him away from the sisters. That's probably the whole reason she hasn't told him yet, is because even in this episode, she kind of learns that he was in love with this person. It was his first love. At least that's what the sister said.
Yeah.
And, even though he denied it, it's kind of true.
I mean, of course he's going to deny it.
Yeah, so by learning that, she's like, if he finds out this, will he be in love with me? Does that ruin my sister's current love?
I mean, the big thing you have to remember is Yotsuba already confessed, technically.
Did she?
Yeah, in the first season.
What did she say?
It was when he was asleep. Like, she played it off as a joke, but she did say she loved him.
Oh, well, I guess that would imply, if anything, that she knew who he was the whole time.
Yeah.
That she, unlike anyone else, that she actually remembered that Futuro, the one that was turning them, was the same kid she met like way back then.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is like, it's very feasible that you wouldn't be able to connect those two characters.
Yeah.
The little punk kid with blonde hair and piercings to
and then like the bowl cutted student who doesn't care about anything else other than studying and but if she did connect them, if somehow she found that out at some point, that might be at least why she's already loved him, like maybe the whole time, really early. But yeah, that we're gonna need to get some sort of character development that is gonna allow her to push back her current boundaries and want to be able to take him from her sisters.
Yeah,
that's the important part. And then obviously we need to learn more about Itsuki. I still think Itsuki had to be the current Rena, though, like the one who was seeing him.
I'm pretty sure she was the one who was playing it up, because I'm pretty sure she was the only one who actually still had the charm too that she gave him. Yeah,
and like we still saw that she was in possession of like the wig and the outfit and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of curious as to how she knows it was him. Slash like how she knows that Yotsuba. Like I'm assuming we're gonna get a flashback maybe in the next episode. Maybe depending on how many episodes you get, either the next one or the last one, a flashback to this trip of the girl coming back, meeting with her sisters, explaining about the boy she met.
Yeah, I mean, when was the first time we saw Rena?
Like in like a flashback form?
Like period. Like the Rena that talked to Futuro.
Like in this
Like in
season,
modern
like,
day.
in this season, like or
Yeah.
like early on, like episode 3 or something.
Like it was in the season though.
Yeah.
Okay. Because wasn't Itsuki staying at his place at the start of the season?
Yes.
So it's possible she just saw the photo and put two and two together.
It's possible, or same thing. It's possible she knew for longer too.
I mean, yeah, she could have just been talking to the sister, and she's like, "Yeah, you used to be in love with this girl named Rena. It looks a lot like a smaller version
she's
of you."
been at his house multiple times as early as season 1. There could have been some family photos there.
Oh, easily, yeah.
So yeah, I think that we're gonna get a flashback episode, which is gonna be pretty big, just to see Yotsuba come back from this like hanging out with his kid, seeing her sisters, explaining what happened, that kind of stuff. Seeing that maybe Yotsuba's had feelings the whole time since then as well, just like Usugi has. But also just the resolution of this, of if he actually does learn which girl it was, does that affect his current choices? And
It never does.
probably not. But yeah, I mean that is a twist that Yotsuba is kind of like the most boring of the sisters in a sense. Is like is the one. I don't think it's gonna be the one he marries. Still, I think.
Oh no. Can you think of any circumstance where that actually plays into the final choice?
No. I can't even imagine that the show's gonna make the final choice.
I mean, if anything, it's an indicator that they're not going to make the final choice.
I think there's a good chance that they just leave the ending vague, and it's like hey, you can imagine which one you want kind of situation.
I don't know, because I mean, I think a lot of the bigger ones actually do make a choice. Love Hina made a choice. Nisekoi made a choice. I'm pretty sure. What was the Idiots Never Learn?
Yeah,
or We Never Learn. I think they made a choice. So
I mean, I hope they make a choice, but yeah, I mean, it seems much more like the generic one season shitty rom com where they don't, and they like, hey, you can imagine that your best girl won kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I hope they do make a choice and they show that at the end, but we'll have to wait to see. I don't think his second season's the last season, so I don't think we're learning this yet.
The manga is still ongoing, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah. So obviously, I'm excited for next week's episode where I can already guess what the title's going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be the Sister War Part 2.
Probably, yeah.
So yeah, look forward to that. Next week we should be covering both that and the episode of Horimiya, assuming they're both interesting, which I can imagine they both are going to be.
Yeah.
Getting either to the finale or so close to the finale.
Oh god, yeah.
And by next week too, we'll know how many episodes are left. We'll do a little bit more research.
Yeah, we'll actually look at the season.
Yeah. Okay. Next up on the list, Kumo Desu, episode number 11.
Next time is the big battle.
Next time is the big battle, not this time.
Well, remember, she was just setting up for it this time.
Okay, yeah. So I guess once again, like many episodes, this one splits into the two perspectives. We see a lot of it from Kumiko, and we see Shun's point of view as well. Yeah. Obviously, just coming off the last episode, his brother's all sorts of dead. He's the new hero. He's pulled out of school in the last episode.
Yeah.
In this one, we see him. I think Faye mentions it's been about a month since he was pulled out.
Yeah, 1 or 2 months. I can't remember.
They make a pact, which is kind of cool. Like they make an official pact. So
yeah.
She mentions that like that means he can kind of summon her anywhere, kind of thing.
Yeah, it'd be the same as the summoner we saw in the last episode.
Yeah, so. The downside for him is like, hey, if I do this, you'll have to listen to like my any command kind of thing. And she's like, well, like I trust you won't make any bad commands. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, I'm down then. So they forge a little pact. That's mainly it, and then the rest of what his perspective is mainly he eventually meets up with the I don't know what the guy's title was because they all have like a title. Like, was the hero one was like the
shield or the protector.
Yeah, because they mentioned the other because they say that he was the only one who lived.
He was the sole survivor. Yeah.
Yeah, because we learned this. He had like the Phoenix feather, which he wanted Julius to have, but Julius is like, no, you should have this being our our main source of defense. That way, if you're down, you can kind of come back up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's them meeting and Shun just kind of learning what happened to his brother. So the character goes into details about how they went to fight. This one woman showed up, kind of all went to hell after that, and then he woke up, thanks to the Phoenix feather, where everyone else was kind of gone, and not even their bodies remained.
Yeah.
So he believes it's actually from like rot, something that just like basically turns him into dust after.
Yeah, an attack that is what is it of the destruction element? I think is what he said it was.
Yes.
So.
One obviously key thing to note: the person who did show up was someone that we saw before, one of the commanders. That's I think her name's just Shiro. It's just white.
Yeah,
I think
white with the purple eyes. And
so obviously this episode, one of the theories when we originally saw that is that she is Kumiko. She was hooded when we first see her. She just has like the white hair hood. She's got very much the same type of color of eyes. And then like originally I thought that was like, hey, that's like a theory that people wouldn't expect because, there wasn't much reasoning for it. But now in this one, they're actually trying to make you believe that's true. And I'm like, well, now are they fucking with me? Like, is that not who it is?
Yeah, I feel like this happens every time because like it immediately almost like smash cuts to Kumiko using a rot attack.
Yeah, they deliberately mentioned how she uses rot. She had the eyes, that kind of stuff. And then, then they showed Kumiko using like her rot attack. And be like, hey, this is cool. Like, I'll have to use this in the future in case like, shit gets real.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is like she did specify it as a suicide attack because it damages her too.
Yeah, like
So
like she had like the classic like cursed eye look thing going
Yeah.
on.
of course she immediately heals it, so she does have some healing magic to her name now.
And then at the end of that conversation, basically Shun just says like, I might not be like the best here. I might just be like kind of like a copy of my brother. He's like, but I'm still gonna like do my best.
Yeah.
Will you join me? The guy's like, yeah, I'm gonna be your fucking shield guy. So
Yeah.
he's got his first party member. So good for him.
Yeah, and he did mention somebody else was given the title of
He
Saint.
mentioned someone else was given the Saint, and I was curious as to who that was.
Amir. It's not Amir.
The only two I can think about would either be his friend who's a male, who's a female, or the more religious girl, the white-haired girl.
The white-haired girl makes sense because the title was Saint.
Yeah, who hates the taboo stuff and all that kind of shit. And it would also kind of make sense to put her in the party so we can see some drama from that later.
I mean, what's she gonna do though? Like, is she gonna see Faye has taboo and go nuts?
She can't see it. She doesn't have appraisal.
I mean, we don't know if she'll get appraisal.
I feel like appraisal is something you probably have early on. It develops.
I mean, how did Kumiko unlock it? Like, didn't she just like pick it off a list?
She had it like at level 1 though. Like,
did she?
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was just like one of the first skills she was like, oh, this looks valuable. Use your skill points on it.
I think because she didn't even like. She would have had to get it immediately though. It was like the very first thing she did was appraise herself as like no name Terratect and appraise like the Rock. And she's like, "Where am I?" And it's like Rock, and she's like, "Oh well, thanks for the information." So it was. I think that was before she even leveled up. So.
I mean, I think you still start with skill points though.
Yeah, I think that it's like she had a couple skill points to spend. She got to pick. But like, if maybe only specific people, like we don't know how the skill works, maybe only specific people get the option for it. Might be something that's like rare because
True.
We've seen obviously that like I don't remember what his name is, the mage from the last episode had it. We've seen Shun has it. We've seen she has it, and then we can also see I'm pretty sure the elf teacher has it as well.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Because she's like watching as all of his skills like disappear, kind of thing, like taking them off when she was taking away all Hugo's.
I think she's a unique circumstance because she has admin privileges.
So yeah, the big question now is like, is this Shiro character? Is it Kumiko in the future? We've still wondered the entire time. We don't believe that she's the Demon Lord.
Probably not.
That seems too obvious. But now, originally, I thought that like that theory about her being this like hooded girl in white.
It sounded like it was off the cuff, but now it's like, oh.
Well, I'm pretty sure someone pointed this out in the comments the one time too. That when I think that his just like these aren't their official names. I don't know if they have names yet. But Kuro, the guy that Kumiko met the one time, when he's in the room with the Demon Lord discussing like, hey, remember the first time I met you? Someone said that the hooded girl was also in the room at the time.
Okay.
So like it's like, hey, it's like trying to make us think that he's talking to the Demon Lord when he's actually talking to the other girl who's in the room.
Right.
Like, like that's a twist kind of thing.
True.
But now that they're specifically trying to make us, the audience, believe that it's her, now I'm like, well, now they're trying to trick me again. Maybe Kumiko's one of the male guys, and she like when she gets a human form, just a male human form.
I mean, true. We never actually got a proper gender assignment for the Terratect.
I mean, even if we did, like as we've seen someone else be incarnated of as a male into a female's body, Kumiko could just become a male human body. That could be a real twist. I don't know, but that a lot of it aside after that was Kumiko preparing for a fight. She kind of decides that she needs to like level up more, become stronger.
Yeah.
And to do that, she wants to take out what's his name, Araba,
the Earth Dragon.
The Earth Dragon that she ran into previously. So she really kind of stalks him for a little while, getting a good gauge of his power level. She kind of goes back down to like the lower stratum you'd be like, hey, I got to train up down here. Sees how much he destroys that cool Cobra thing.
Yeah, my favorite part is that she first runs into a pair of Earth Dragons and is like, nope. Sees the Cobra thing, is like, well, this thing's going to murder me. And then it just gets wrecked by Araba.
Yeah, and then it also shows her she has like the tracking skill.
Yeah.
So it shows like, when she runs with the Earth Dragons, they separate and she has little tracks. She has tracks on the humans that she let escape, who were like, that way she can find the entrance when she decides she wants to leave. Yeah. And then she has tracking on Araba, so she could eventually get like a sneak attack on him, while he's sleeping, I think.
In theory,
is the little scene they show. It's like him sleeping and she has like the dagger.
She had a rocket launcher.
Oh, yeah. It's true. Not a dagger. But yeah, it's a lot of it's like she's like trying to get ready for this big fight, which is most of it at the end. I think the very end of the episode is she is running into him to do said fight.
Yeah, in between there, she does do some grinding. She's hunting down creatures, trying to level up.
She's leveling up. She's talking about her skills at one point. They do explain how in the last one she copied the monsters that the one guy summoned skills. That's where she get her wind magic, earth magic, and
water magic.
Water magic in this, which she's like leveling up in this to be more useful. And then the other thing she got, she used like the black bullet one, which was it darkness or it was?
I think it was abyss.
It wasn't Abyss. No, it was a different one than that. I think it was black. It was Black Magic.
Black Magic. Okay.
Because it showed like the leveling line, and it was like something to darkness to like black magic. That's where she was basically just destroying a bunch of bees.
Yeah.
Which were kind of funny. Like the first couple, right? She's like talking about she's gonna just go kill them, and like she's like, it's like once just stabbed her, and she just happens like 3 times before she eventually just annihilates the entire
Yeah,
nest.
she finally snaps and starts massacring them.
Well, yeah, because she realized that like he's an Earth dragon, so her best bet is by like fighting him in the air for the most part.
Yeah.
But these stupid frickin' bees are up there being annoying, so she has to take them out first to set up a good battleground. So I mean, a lot of Kumiko's side of this, we didn't like learn as many like big things I think as we've learned like previously. I actually think most of our like learning about the world, this one came from like Shun's point of view.
I think it did, but we also got to learn a little bit more about like Kumiko's thought processes.
Mm-hmm.
Like first of all, they like it was beyond a shadow of a doubt now that she did murder those humans.
Oh yeah.
And secondly, she is looking at everything just as like pure XP at this point, which I think someone in the comments mentioned is like tied to taboo.
Yeah, someone mentioned that. What was it specifically? There's like side effects to skills, and I don't know if it was taboo or if it was either pride. I think it was either pride or wisdom, like one of those lines.
Maybe, yeah.
Which it was basically just like you lose like the sense of guilt. So
yeah, you don't feel bad about murdering things anymore. You just view them as XP pinatas.
Yeah, and there is also one more big thing in this that is the reason that Kumiko decides to train and beat the dragon is her it's taboo levels up to 10.
Yeah, which
and
means,
upon taboo leveling up to 10, she basically gains like all of the world's knowledge or some shit.
Yeah, she learned the truth of the world and what's going on, what's going to happen.
It's like the equivalent of like Full Metal Alchemist when they see the gate, they get all the world's knowledge in, and they can only retain so much, and that gives them like this extra power. But by learning this, she basically says that she has all of her other Kumikos like slowly like sifting through the knowledge, but like she knows that this like world is coming to an end. Like something's going to happen that's going to put the world at the end, and she's basically training to stop it. That's why she decided not to leave the dungeon yet, and instead she has to get stronger, thus fighting Araba. So that's kind of what leads to this, and it's just it shows like a scene of all this information. You hear things that are happening, and like there's like certain lines that would probably be more fun to like to deep dive into, because I don't remember them specifically off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, it was something about humans develop stronger magic, causes a shortage of mana, which shortens the lifespan of the world, which causes the dragons to get angry, which causes them to attack.
It's basically just the world destruction that she now knows is coming. So the whole reason she's doing this fight is to level up for that specific reason.
Yeah, she says, I don't know if it'll help, but it's definitely better to be strong at the end of the world.
Which to me also kind of checks in the future of her wondering like why in 15 years she's part of the Demon Lord army is just probably out of a sense of either gaining power or maybe wanting to take over to stop whatever is going to lead to this whole
because
world catastrophe.
If it is the fault of the humans, like getting rid of the humans is the easiest way to save the world.
True enough.
It kind of speaks to real world, doesn't it?
I mean, even then, even if she just like if they just subjugate the humans and then from there like make certain rules that she thinks will stop this world ending.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming anyways that we don't have all the information, but I'm assuming that's at least partially why she's part of this Demon Lord army. Yeah. Is to have something to do with stopping this world from ending, as we've seen.
Yeah, that'd be kind of an interesting twist. The whole time the Demon Lord's the good guy.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like a thing they do a lot more in anime these days.
I mean, yeah, it's becoming more and more prevalent, but usually it's a more obvious way.
Yeah, I mean, even like the what was the most recent one? The Demon of Misfit Academy.
Yeah, Demon Lord of Misfit Academy.
Yeah,
the Misfit of Demon Lord Academy.
It might be that one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got a.
But yeah, the episode ends basically with Kumiko about to face down with Araba, which is where we're going to assume is going to be the next episode.
Yeah, kind of funny because she was talking about going for a sneak attack, and she's like, "Well, he just walked in because I'm fighting him now."
Yeah, because it even mentions that like he kind of like remembers her and like remembers that she got away, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like you knew I was there and you just let me go, and you're gonna regret that. Yeah,
so that's going to be, I assume, a pretty big part of next episode. We might also still get some more of a Shun's perspective. We might finally get to see who the saint is. Is our guest the religious girl who hates taboo?
It's either going to be her or the redhead.
Yeah, and I think the redhead they shown off more as like a fighter kind of thing. So
did they? I don't remember her actually ever doing anything. Like even in the Earth, like the battle with that Earth dragon, I don't remember her ever actually landing a hit.
Yeah, neither do I. But if she did, I feel like it was with a sword. I don't know.
I guess
they might cut to that, or next episode might just be an entirely Kumiko episode. Either way, we're getting. I was about to say we're getting close to the end, but we're not really getting close to the end because this is continuing through the spring. I don't know if they're going to take like a week-long break as all the new shows start up, which is what sometimes things do, or if it's just going to go right on through.
Sometimes. I don't think they will. They've got a good pace going, so...
Okay. Well, either way, as always, we'll be talking about Kumiko. Well, I always say this, and we will be talking about Kumiko next week when we talk about Kumo Desu. As always, I don't even need to remind you guys, if you have any thoughts, opinions, anything like that on Kumo Desu, leave them down below. Obviously a lot of our fandom here comes from the Kumo Desu subreddit.
Yep.
So if you're from the subreddit, thanks as always for liking and all that kind of stuff. And once again, if you have a spoiler, just make sure it's far enough below that is a spoiler. Maybe write, hey, this is a Kumiko spoiler relating to this or something like that, just so people really know what they're getting into. To me, if someone says spoiler and they put something down below and you click onto that, no matter what it is, you've now just opened yourself up to receiving that spoiler. But if you want to be bonus nice, you can put what it's referring to.
I mean, yeah, it's always nice to know what you're getting spoiled, because if you're up to date on like Kumo Desu, Juju, and
but not even that though. Like, I mean, sometimes people put like, "Hey, this is a Kumo Desu spoiler," and then down below they're like, "Oh, this person becomes this," and someone's like, "Oh, you should have put what the spoiler was referring to. I didn't want that Kumo Desu spoiler."
Okay, that's a little bit much.
Listen, if you want to be extra nice and do that for people, that's fine. You could say, "Hey, this Kumo Desu spoiler is relating to the Demon Lord in the 15-year time gap." And then people go, "Oh, I know exactly the spoilers. I can decide." But as far as I'm concerned, if you put the spoiler for the show and someone reads it, that's on them.
I mean, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, either way, as always, comment down below anything. You don't always have to put theories or stuff like that or spoilers. You can just comment on what you liked about this episode if you want. And we will be talking about episode 12 next week.
Yep.
Next up, Jujutsu Kaisen, episode number 23.
The Origin of Blind Obedience 2.
So obviously, continuing from last week, there was a big, I don't know what it was about this episode. There was a big portion of this episode that kind of confused me in the beginning. It just felt like it started really fast from last week.
It was definitely a pace pickup, because it started off with them just like playing whack-a-mole with a curse.
Yeah, like last week, they just get into like where the cursed area, into like the zone or whatever it was, and then we just see the new like special grade pop in that we saw Mahito making earlier.
Yeah, which I mean, them jumping straight into the action, I don't think is a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's just, originally I was like kind of in like, did I miss something? Like, was there like a post credit scene where they start fighting or something? It was just one of those things. It was just like more like a little shocked that I was like, what's happening now?
I think it's one of the things, like, they don't need to show the transition into the start of the fight, because it's just going to be Itadori running at them.
Yeah.
So I think they just want to get it like started off well, especially considering what one side was doing wasn't really much.
Yeah, obviously this, as we kind of guessed last week, this whole episode was mainly focused around Megumi. He's kind of got the shit end of the stick, and even most of the arcs we've seen, he's always either forced out of battle early by being too weak, or just like having to run away kind of thing for being too weak. So we obviously know he has a lot of potential, because we've seen characters like Sukuna kind of get like attached to him in some ways, implying that he's got more to him.
Yeah, Sukuna and Gojo both have kind of looked at him. It's like, you've got a lot more potential than you realize. Why don't you use it?
Yeah, so as we also guessed last week, the other two get taken out of this battle pretty fast. Immediately, Nobura gets taken out of the battle by getting through a little sucky portal. Basically just getting pulled out of this zone back to like just the regular outside world.
Yep.
Where then immediately Itadori follows.
Yeah, like she specifically says, you deal with the curse here, I'll deal with whatever this is. The Itadori is like, oh, okay, because the special curse runs through the portal too. Yeah,
the special curse runs through it too, and Itadori's like, well, I definitely can't let two of them fight her. She won't stand a chance.
Yeah.
So he's kind of tempted to stay, and that's where Megumi's like, no, just go. He's like, she needs more help than I do, basically. So he runs out, and then that's Megumi's left to kind of fight what's there. Which after he kind of takes out all the little whack-a-moles, it is revealed that this is more than he actually thought. And coming down is actually, it was one of Sukuna's fingers. So it's another
like a special grade.
Another special grade that looks actually a lot like the other one they previously ran into.
Which I'm kind of sad that that's what they've decided on for Sukuna's fingers curses. Like, I thought that was a one-off.
No, I mean, it makes kind of sense. It's like a recognizable design. It reminds me a lot of like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. If you ever watched it, they had like the white like clones things that were like made very much like that. There's something else that kind of reminds me of too, but it's just like the very big mouth and the big teeth and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, it's like a very good stylistic choice to make it immediately identifiable. It's kind of like the Nomus and Hero Academia.
Yeah, this one just had like cool hair though. He was like the same thing, but with like a bigger hair. But yeah, so obviously that's pretty dangerous, because last time Megumi fought one of these things, it wasn't even close. He didn't really stand a chance.
Yeah, he lost a dog and ran.
Yeah, basically, leaving Itadori to eventually fight it and die in a sense. So this time he's fighting it, and he's doing okay originally, but he just pretty quickly just gets absolutely punted into a wall. Yeah. He wakes up just being knocked out, blood all over the wall. His head's just bleeding, and we get the flashback of when he's younger, which we kind of knew was happening. We guessed that last week that we're going to get a flashback.
Yeah,
we got some of the predictions right, like how I said that I had a feeling that like his family left their family. And didn't really tell them about it, kind of thing.
It was a little bit darker than what we expected. with the idea of him having been sold to this clan to kind of buy their way out.
So his family, like, his mother and father, or mother, or just father.
It was his father and then
her
the girl's
mother.
mother.
Yeah. So they left the clan, and then he got together with another woman who had another kid. So that's why they're kind of like half siblings or step siblings. And then Goju shows up at one point after their parents go missing, and explains like, hey, you're actually from the Zenin clan kind of thing.
Yeah.
Your parents actually ran away and they sold you out to the clan basically to be allowed to leave. He's like, but I kind of stepped in, and instead of that, you're allowed to stay or be this. You just have to eventually train as like a jujutsu sorcerer and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is mainly what it is. Kind of some things we guess, but a little bit darker, as in the parents just like, hey, let's just sell this child. And
yeah, like I've seen this in anime before, but I've never seen it done like this. Usually it's like almost like a joke, but like, oh my god.
I mean, eventually, since this is a shonen, they pretty much will normally bring every character back at some point. The parents could come back and we could find out that like they thought this was like better for them kind of thing. And
yeah,
I don't know. Obviously right now, not enough information. It might never happen. It might happen.
If they sold him out to the Zenin clan, he would have ended up as a Jujutsu sorcerer anyways, most likely.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna live like a sheltered life where you're not probably gonna be treated the best. But I mean, you're at least safe for the most part until,
in theory,
you have to fight a bunch of curses. But yeah, it shows him, growing up in high school. Shows him being like the kind of what we saw or we heard about the last episode. And then we also see his like sister character, and he kind of goes into how like it basically people who are either too bad or too good like disgust him.
Yeah.
So that's why he kind of beats up all the delinquents. But then also like he mentions that his sister disgusts him because she's just like pure good. She'll like forgive someone when they've done a bad thing because she's so good. And then it kind of shows, we even get to see a little side story as he's walking through the halls where a character asks the sister like, hey, are you going to come to that like, test of courage or whatever tonight? Yeah. And she's like, I don't want to, but I guess I'll go just for you guys. And then he mentions that like even if he defeats this curse, he doesn't think that's the actual curse that put her in a coma.
This is one that's just overlapping with that.
It's overlapping. And it's not the one. So even when if he eventually defeats this, that's probably not going to solve her issue. That's going to be like a later arc kind of thing. Yeah. But either way, the main flashback is when he's talking to Gojo, when he's training with him, and Gojo basically says, hey, you gotta stop being such a little bitch. He's like, you're not like trying hard enough. You're not going all out. Like you can't beat really anything at this point. This is obviously after he's met Itadori because he mentions him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he basically gives like the pet talk, and then when Megami comes out of it, he's much like crazier. He's just like decided to let it all go and just like,
he's definitely said fuck it, because before that he was very much in the mindset of, I guess I'll die to kill this thing. Yeah. And now he's like, what, screw it, I'm gonna fight to the end. And
I mean, Gojo even specifically references his power, which we assumed before is that what kind of Sukuna saw, which we definitely thought was something sacrificial.
Yeah, he even says like you don't really care because you figure you can solve everything by dying. So.
Yeah, like worst case scenario, whatever is encounter you have, you're just going to use your power and basically solve it by dying. So it basically just says like, hey, you need to actually just become powerful enough that you can live while fighting things and just go all out. So he kind of comes up, and he's just like having a big smile, blood running down his face, obviously going a little crazier, but like letting loose. He actually releases his domain, but like it's unfinished domain, kind of messy.
He was an incomplete domain first attempt, but like
I mean it's where like there's a bunch of animals and stuff coming
Shadow
up.
Chimera Garden. It was the name of it.
Yeah, so I imagine it's gonna be pretty dope when he actually has it like fully finished.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's tied directly to his summons, so like that's just absolutely terrifying thing, being locked in there with basically a small room with all of his animals.
Yeah, I mean even then you see like little frogs and stuff like pulling the special grade like curse down, holding him down and stuff like that. But yeah, it just leads to a fight where Megami does come out and actually wins. So he punches like right through it at one point. Kind of falling down after that. The zone drops, showing that he did defeat it, and then the finger falls and he gets the finger. And then he slowly like, kind of passes out.
I mean, yeah, that was a pretty major fight. He just won, so...
Yeah, well, I mean, considering special grades... I mean, obviously now we're seeing these characters grow where special grades are becoming something you can more imagine them beating, especially with, like, Itadori. And we've seen Gojo just...
It's pretty standard shonen power creep, so...
Yeah, they're definitely going to introduce something higher than special grade soon.
I mean, even earlier, Gojo specifically said, like, special grade isn't going to cut it anymore because things are getting
the difference between this thing that he just beat as a special grade and the difference between, like, Mahito, for instance, or some of these other, like, curses...
It's night and day.
Yeah, so they're going to come up with something like a cooler name, probably even than special grade, just to describe them. And then the rest of the fight really takes place. It's showing Nobura fighting the weird guy.
Yeah.
Where even she's confused at one point. She's like, "Is this like a curse? Is this a cursed user?" Like she's
Yeah.
confused because he's relatively like human in a sense.
Yeah, he's got the dark eyes. He's got the little fringe haircut with the red eyes. And
Yeah, and at one point he's like backing away, doing some backward hops, and she's like, "Why are you walking like that?" She's like, she's like, "Oh, are you like making fun of me? Like, you think I can't catch you when you're doing that dumb walk?" And he's just like, "No, I don't like people seeing my back."
Yeah. It's the moment I said that, it's like, oh, he's got something fucked up back there.
And then at that same time, Itadori and the other curse both come out of a portal behind him, and they both see his back. And even the special grade's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, brother. I didn't mean to."
Yeah. That moment of like, oh shit, it's like, wow, I guess even other curses aren't allowed to see this.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if any of this fight actually gets resolved. We obviously see his power. He's got like the weird back thing going on with like the mouth, and
Yeah.
kind of shows off that now he.
We didn't really. I think Nobara made one attack, and then it was just him using some sort of blood technique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Even Itadori with the other one early on in the fight, he was spitting some sort of acid. Itadori was mainly dodging it, and then they go through the portal. So obviously, this episode was mainly focused on Megami, seeing a little bit of his backstory, seeing a little bit more about like his sister, and like the fact that there's still going to be a curse that's keeping her comatized or
this is not
the word I'm looking for.
Comatose.
And yeah, that's going to be something for a future arc. But seeing as we probably only have 2 episodes left. It's probably going to be finishing with this very specific arc, showing that Itadori having to beat one of them. Maybe she finally gets to beat a special grade as well.
I mean, hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, she's not the Sakura of the group.
I feel like she won't be, because the author, like the original creator, is very like liberal with his view of women.
Yeah,
like, as you know, he doesn't do most of the cheesecake shots you usually get in shonen. So
yeah, either way, I'm obviously excited. Next week, we're probably just going to get a few more fighting episodes. Might not be as much to talk about every single episode if there's not that much background story, but they've done a pretty good job of kind of introducing both.
Yeah.
Showing off like a cool fight. Like the fights don't have to last like a full episode like a lot of other like shonen animes typically do.
No.
Like even the fight with Megami in the special grade was only like a couple seconds. Basically like a couple minutes maybe, where he's using
it was a lot of build up than just one really badass release of it.
Yeah, that's what they typically do, right? There's like this like short little scene of just something, the animation, everything looking really, really cool. And then the rest of it's normally just either slow kind of fighting or background and story information. Yeah. So probably what we're going to see in the next 2 episodes, we're probably going to see more about Nobara, like a specific episode, more about her past.
I mean, I'd like to see some sort of like, because we already got her past for the most part, didn't we?
Yeah, well, it's not very dark though. It's just her small town bullied a girl out basically.
Yeah,
and she went to Tokyo. There could be more information there.
I mean, something's gonna have happened to that girl, and she's gonna snap, and we're gonna get to see her domain. It's just gonna be a bunch of nails.
Yeah, probably, or like a naily coffin that they're inside, or something
just
cool.
An Iron Maiden.
Yeah. Either way, we'll find out next week as always. We only have a few episodes left of the show, so we have to enjoy it while it's out. Because who knows when we're gonna get another season. So yeah, look forward to that. Any comments, theories, anything like that for Jujutsu, leave them down below as always. Next up on the list, Mushoku Tensei, episode number 11.
Children and Warriors.
So as we mentioned early on in this episode in the intro, this is the final episode until the season continues in June with the start of the summer anime. I did kind of find it kind of funny at the end of this. At the end, they said like look forward to season 2, but it's actually not season 2; it's season 1.
I think they're officially splitting into 2 separate seasons.
Are they?
So
I was gonna say, because even when I look it up on a Wikipedia or something like that, it literally just says like season 1 continues this date.
It could have been a translation error too. Like
That's
it
true.
could have been part 2, and they just did season 2.
It's true. It's just like the subtitles that we're reading. But yeah, obviously we're continuing off. They're inside the little demon town doing guild jobs.
Yeah, it kind of like time skipped a lot of it. Showed like the P hunters doing like the very basic menial jobs, and showed a few different hunting jobs for them. So
yeah, taking on some regular hunting jobs. And then it kind of mainly goes into they accept a job where I think they mentioned you get like 5 iron pieces just for like discovering what it is, getting information, like information gathering, and you get an extra 2 if you kill it. They kill this monster. Yeah. So they go off into the forest. When they walk into this forest of the job, they run into 2 separate groups. One is the Kurt, I believe his name is, with his little chicken and forearm guy.
Yeah.
4 arms, not forearm. And then the other group is Rudy mentions that he knows this character. I just can't think of where
they were in the guild.
I was gonna say he was probably also in the guild at the same time. He met like Horse Guy and all them. So he goes into there. They're arguing about who gets to do the mission. Apparently all their missions have some sort of crossover. Yeah, they decide to do it as like a first come first serve kind of thing.
Yeah, they dismissed it as a triple booking, I think.
Yeah, first come first serve. It's easy. You send 3 people out. Someone's bound to do the mission. So then they continue a little bit way down, and then at one point they see a big they run into Kurt and their group a little bit ahead, and Rudy's like let's follow them and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah, well, it was once they separated that group. Oh God, how do you pronounce his name?
Rujerd.
Rujerd, yeah. He was like, I'm worried about them because they're just kids.
Yeah, well, not only that though, too. He's like, they literally don't even sense all those monsters around, and then it shows us seeing like a spider in the thing and like something like slithering around.
Yeah.
And Rudy's like, yeah. He's like, but like, let's not hop in yet though. Let's like wait till they're actually in like real need. And then it kind of shows the scene of them then encountering the spider and the snake, and they're like about to start the fight. And Richard's like, "Oh, like let me go now. Like you have to do it like they're children, kind of thing." And then Rudy in his mind's like, "Oh, we're gonna wait till like the last possible second to help in, and that way they have to they owe more to us." Yeah. And that's where you just see like fucking half a body go flying, hit a tree, and fall down.
Full blood spiral.
Not the chicken guy.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I don't think Rudy really appreciated the power difference here.
No, but that's obviously like he completely acknowledges that mistake in his mind right in that second. Because right after that, both Rougerd and Eris just run off. Rougerd takes out the spider in like 2 seconds, and then Eris cuts that little snick in half.
Yeah, which I mean, Eris is a lot stronger than I gave her credit for.
I mean, we've seen that. Obviously,
I knew she was skilled, and I knew like small beasts wouldn't be a problem, but she just cut that thing in half.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even later when they're fighting a bigger enemy, she also definitely pulls her own weight in that one too.
Yeah, this was just like okay, she can hold like carry her weight.
Yeah, not to mention Rougerd is just OP as shit, as we see in the later fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after that, they run, like they mentioned to Kurt, they go up to meet him, and Rougerd's kind of mad at Rudy, kind of like holds him up against the trees, like, why'd you stop me from going in? I could have saved like the kid or like that. And then Kurt's like, hey, this isn't his fault. Like, we're not children, we're adventurers. Like, we signed up for this kind of thing. So then Rougerd kind of goes down, puts his hand on him. He's like, yeah, you're right. You're not children. You're adventurers, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then
he specifically acknowledges Kurt as a warrior, which I think is a big deal for him. So.
Yeah. So after that, they kind of help them out of the forest a little bit. They lead them to somewhere that's safe, and then they leave, and then they continue on. And as they continue on, they also hear the other party in some peril.
Yeah.
But by the time they get to this party, everyone's dead except for the one lead guy who's currently in the mouth of a giant. I think they call it a red hood cobra.
Red-hooded cobra, yeah.
Yeah. So he's in the mouth. They're like, hey, let's if we fight fast, we might be able to save him. So they get into a tussle. Rudy shoots some magic bolts at it. It dodges. Eris goes in to cut it. Scales are a lot harder, so it doesn't immediately cut through. Rougerd does some damage to it, though.
Yeah, I mean, Rougerd is definitely like the pre-promote you get at the start of Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Like he's there to make sure you survive.
Yeah, so then Rudy shoots another magic bolt. The snake goes right for Rudy, and as it's going for him, Rougerd just stops right in the middle, punches it in the face.
He didn't even punch it. He just no.
Held out his hand, stops the monster, and then while that's going on, he hits it back, yells for Eris. Eris kind of comes in, gives it a big old stabbing, and then he yells like now for Rudy, shoots a big energy bolt at it, and kind of kills it.
Yeah.
Then Rougerd's like, hey, it's like too late for this guy though. He's dead.
Yeah.
So the other guy did die. Their entire party was wiped out. They go back to town, hand in the quest. They got some cool stuff. When who should stop them but Horse Guy? We knew he was going to be a bad egg.
I know. I just love how we don't know his name. It's just Horse Dude.
Horse. I think his name. I actually might know his name. It starts with an L. Oh, what the hell was it? It's on the tip of my tongue. Lauren.
L.
I don't remember.
Lionel.
No. He's not a lion. He's a horse.
I know. I thought that'd just be funny naming a horse Lionel.
But yeah, he mentions like, hey, like, look in this alley. I got your other party. I got the pea hunters in here, kind of thing, and they're all sobbing. And he basically is like, I'm gonna bribe these kids. So he talks to Rudy and is like,
no, the other way around. He's going to extort them.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing. He's gonna extort. Okay, he's gonna extort them. So he's like, hey. I know that you guys are doing this. If I tell the guild, they're gonna like revoke your licenses.
Yeah.
And then Rudy's like, okay, like what can I do? And he's like, well, you know what? How about every month you give me half your earnings from doing the quest, and then I won't tell anybody. And in Rudy's mind, he's like, okay, let me consider this. He's like, we can't just take off because, the licenses for the guild are, like nationwide or some shit for the demon area. Yeah. So if they show up at the next town, their licenses will be revoked. He gets fucked. He's like, we can't just give him half our earnings because we won't have enough and that kind of stuff. So kind of there, he makes up his mind. Resolution right now. He's like, I will kill everyone in this town if I have to help Eris. He's like, I will, go back on my word to help Rougerd, like clear his name to make sure Eris gets home, kind of thing. And his staff glows. You see the clouds coming. He's about to fucking, what the hell's the spell like? Cloud name Numbus.
I just can't pronounce it. I know what it is. It just won't come out of my mouth.
He's about to go insane, and that's when, as he's just about to start, you hear like a water splash behind him, and Rougerd has taken away his blue hair dye.
Yeah, he gives a little hair flip to get
it all gives the classic hair push back just to show him who's boss, revealing that he is in fact the real dead end. the horse announces that that's a thing. Everybody runs away in fear, and then Rougerd grabs Mr. Horse and it's just like, listen here. He's like, he's basically just complete intimidation tactics, and he holds him up by his sword. He's like, if we get to the next, he's like, we're gonna leave. He's like, but if we get to the next town and we find that our licenses are revoked, he's like, I will be able to find you. And then the horse kind of passes out. He drops him, and then as he just flees from town, hops over all the buildings, leaves. And then Rudy and Eris walk up and they see Kurt kind of cowering by a cart. And Rudy's like, Kurt, like, why are you hiding? Like, did he not like save you? And Kurt's like, yeah, he did. And you kind of see Kurt like accepting the fact that he's kind of a bitch.
I mean, yeah, but like everything given, like the reputation of Dead End, I kind of understand why you'd be afraid.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be the classic, like, you know, if you're a kid and you know you don't like shrimp, but then your mom hides the shrimp in your food and tells you it's chicken, you eat it, then you're like, oh, this is good. Then your mom's like, actually, that's shrimp. And you're like, oh my God, that's gross. It's like that whole situation. The Rougerd was a superb. He was a superb in hiding, did good things. Kurt's like, I like this guy. He just validated me as a warrior who saved me. Then found out that he was actually him and was still scared. Now we're just waiting for him to be like, you know what? That did taste good. That shrimp was good. I do like shrimp now.
I mean, in the moment though, he was holding up someone who's arguably a very strong adventurer.
Yeah, well,
and just made him shit himself.
Either way,
so
I don't think that's the end of Kurt. I think we're going to see him try to repent later and come back, and he's going to kind of accept the fact that Rougerd's not a bad guy. He's going to probably come in one of the future villages. Yeah. And then Rudy and Eris leave the town. They run into Rougerd again, and that's where Rudy wants to apologize. Rougerd wants to apologize. Rougerd's like, hey, as soon as I saw that you were about to just kill him to save Eris, he's like, I knew that you just had like something to fight for, that you'll like give up everything for. Yeah. He's like, I get that. I'm down. Like, I get that's like your pride kind of thing. Pride as a warrior. So they kind of, they make up. They become friends again.
I do think Rougerd kind of missed the point that Rudy was going to level everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, so be it. Rougerd gets it. He would have still been down. Even if Rudy's like, hey, I
don't know, because I'm pretty sure there'd be a few children in town that would have got leveled.
It doesn't matter. That shouldn't have been in town then.
Jesus.
But yeah, so either way, then they kind of decide, Rudy's like, hey, you know what, we're going to go with this as like a team from now on. Yeah. We're going to have our first team meeting right now, and we're going to head off to, I think it's the Asura is like the
Ashura
city.
Kingdom is
something like that. So they're going to go off to the city. The one thing that we didn't talk about is the very first scene in the episode.
Oh, with Roxy.
Yeah, so the very first scene in the episode is Roxy returning to the lands, where Rudy's from.
Yeah.
Learning about the big what do they call it? The
Mana disaster.
Mana disaster. It did not just affect like Ghislaine and Rudy and Eris. It apparently affected a lot of people.
It messed stuff up. Like nothing's left for the most part.
So she goes back to check out like the board of the dead. She doesn't find any of their names on it, so she's happy about that. And then she sees a notice. And the notice is left by Paul, basically saying like, Paul has their kid. Paul has like the blonde kid with the wife.
Yeah, Norn or...
Yeah, but his wife's missing. The maid is missing with her child is also missing. Yeah. And he's like, listen, I'm not worried about you, Rudy. If you're reading this, he's like, you're fine. He's like, but I'm going to go look for them. He's like, if you learn any information, send a message like here kind of thing. Or if, any of you also come back and learn this information, same thing, send it there.
He also specifically like addressed it to both his family and his former adventuring mates.
Yeah, he's like, this is like family, former adventure. He's like, listen, you may not like me. He's like,
and I can't atone and I can't apologize.
He's like, I can't atone and I can't apologize. He's like, and I won't apologize. He's like, but like, I will do anything. He's like, I will lick your boots. He's like, just please help me and my family kind of thing. So we see Rudy reading this, and then behind her shows up two adventurers who are clearly past members of Paul's party.
Yeah. I think it was an elven woman and a dwarven warrior from the looks of it.
Yeah, so we don't really see what the resolution is there for them right that second. And that's kind of the end of that part. And then at the end of the episode, as we see throughout the credits, it's like a little traveling montage for Rudy, Eris, and Rougerd. We see them just at the very end arrive what we assume is the Asura Kingdom or the Ashura Kingdom or whatever it is.
Yeah, some coastal city anyways. And we also see Roxy and these two fighters
on a boat arriving to the same city, we assume. So yeah, that's kind of where we leave off. It's a good little kind of finale for this part of the season going into what we're going to start. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad we're going to have to go a season without it, but I mean, at least now we know we have a guaranteed show that we're going to enjoy in summer, which is always nice to see, because right now I really don't know anything else that's coming out in summer, so at least I got one thing on the calendar.
Yeah, that's true. I think I saw one thing I was really pumped for summer, but I've already forgotten what it is.
I mean, once again, we have a whole spring to worry about. When we get closer to summer, we'll do another list like everything else. But honestly, Mushoku Tensei is probably like in my top list of like isekais right now. Obviously, one of my other favorites is like Grimgar. Mentioned that before.
Oh, I still want that to get another season.
Yeah, but just in general, just from this like first 11 episodes, and Mushoku Tensei to me might be one of like the most well written like isekais.
It is.
It actually feels like a genuine fantasy. It
Yeah.
doesn't just feel like anime fantasy, because anime fantasy is like its own genre because they all have the classic tropes.
It
It's
does.
just like the world that they're building here actually just feels like a fantasy.
It really does. Like even when he's talking to Roger at the end, like he acknowledges like I screwed up. Like I tried to think of everything myself and do this myself, and that's why these people ended up dead.
Yeah, like even the deaths we've seen so far all have had a lot of weight. Like in the last episode when Roger killed the one guy, like one of the members of P
Yeah,
Hunter.
it was a turning point.
Yeah, it was a turning point there. And this one, like when Chicken Little died, like, you know, he was my favorite character. That really struck me. And then Rudy had to like be like, hey, the reason this dude just died is because I was trying to play this shit like a game. Like this ain't no game. This is like a much more real world than we see in even most isekai.
Yeah, true. Because in any isekai, the main character is always very capable. He's always very able to get everything done in some way, shape, or form. Even in something like Konosuba, where it's played up like a joke, like everything does work out for them.
Yeah.
Like this one shows that it really does have the stakes that it's not going to work out if he fucks this up.
But even just like the cliffhanger going forward of like, you know, not just being Rudy, Ghislaine, and Eris, but like the fact that like tons of these people were all just sent around. So Rudy's whole family is separated, and like, you know, Paul's out there looking for them while Rudy doesn't know about this yet. He's just trying to get home and get Eris home. Roxy, you know, in the next season, assuming is going to find Rudy, tell him about his family missing. He has to make a choice if he just wants to go home or if they want to go look for more of his family. It just seems like such like a fun adventure. It seems like a, you know, not like an all happy adventure. It's about trying to find your lost family and that kind of stuff. But that's like a plot that we're not getting in anime.
Yeah, because normally there's not these types of stakes, or like they show you clips like they're doing fine somewhere else, but someone has to find them. Like we don't even know if they're alive or dead at this point.
Yeah, like we obviously see he landed in a place that's hyper dangerous, but luckily one of the first things he ran into was a friendly man who's like one of the most powerful things around.
Yeah.
But like one of the like what if the maid got separated? What if her and her baby went to two separate places and somewhere a baby just lands in like in a demon continent? Like, come on.
Oh man.
It just sounds like an actual like good like tale, like an adventure of like these characters out searching for their lost family from this disaster.
Yeah.
Not even thinking about all these other plots that are going to come in later, like these like some of these godlike characters we've seen before this mana disaster hit that aren't even relevant yet, but will be eventually. Like Dragon Guy, you know, Pergius or like that, the god up in his thing. Like
I mean, I think Pergius is, or not Pergius, Lapis.
Yes, La Place, sort of it is. Yeah.
Yeah, like Lapis' demon. Like he's gonna play into this at some point. He's gonna be the big bad, I think.
Yeah, I mean, even just like looking at why this whole Mana Storm like disaster happened, but right now I'm just excited for like this journey of either returning home or finding his family kind of thing. As Rudy kind of gets more powerful, ages too. Like in tons of anime, you don't see a character age at all.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing. But in this, we've obviously seen that we've seen characters age. So I'm excited as we go into the next season just to see it continue more as the adventure goes on.
Yeah, because even the shows that we do see aging, like take a look at Naruto. You start off, I guess, like a younger kid. Like it's done in like
they just have two separate arc basically. It's like, hey, we have the pre-time skip and the post-time skip.
Yeah, we've got the kid arc, we've got the teenager arc, we've got the adult arc. This one we're actually seeing like 6 months to a year progression at most.
Yeah, we're seeing like little bits as he slowly changes to become eventually an adult as we get, you know, who knows how many seasons through. It's just a really, really good show though. Obviously, if you're watching this, like, you know, our part here, you probably watch Mushoku Tensei, I assume, so you know that it's a good show. But if you have any like thoughts about it, anything, you know, you want to say about how you thought this, you know, this season or this first part of the season went so far, let us know down below. And then let us know, of course, if you're going to be watching when the part 2 comes out with us in summer. Other than that, though, we'll be talking about Mushoku Tensei come again next June. We'll be sad to see it gone, but happy to see it come back when it does. Okay. Last up on the list, of course, the big one. We have Attack on Titan, episode 73, and Attack on Titan, episode 74.
Savagery and soul salvation.
So yeah, since we watched these all in one go, I'm just even though we just saw them, my main job is to try and separate the two episodes, because when you watch them like that just in one go, you're like, hey, that was just one long episode.
I mean, yeah, I'm honestly having a hard time remembering where one ended.
Yeah, so the first portion, like the first episode, mainly focused on Zeke and like the Levi drama going on.
Yeah.
It started, of course, with Aaron meeting up with Mikasa and Armin, continuing from the last time.
Yeah.
And that was kind of just like he literally just walked in there basically to shit talk them. Like Aaron walks in, he basically explains how Armin is a little bitch, and the only reason he goes to visit Annie and the only reason he cares about all these specific things is because memories make the person, and by having Bertolt's memories, he's basically just has like Bertolt's personality now. And Armin kind of panics a little bit. Mikasa's like, "Oh, like Aaron, stop!" And then he's like, "Oh, don't even get me started on you, Mikasa."
Yeah.
And then he explains how the Ackermans were just they have something in them, like eternally in their mind, to always want to protect the Eldian king. That was like in the past what they were there for. And so at that moment where she was about to die as a kid, and Aaron kind of saved her, it clicked in her mind that she kind of used him to replace the Eldian king, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then her entire life's just been about dedicated to, saving and protecting him, and she doesn't even have control over it. And then he goes into how he's disgusted by her. He's always hated her, and now he knows why, because like he hates people that are like slaves, people that don't have freedom, and that's why he hates her and is disgusted. And then as Armin goes up to punch him for it, Mikasa, even while crying, still takes Armin and pins him down before realizing that she does it, just proving his point even more. Which is hilarious. And then after that, though, she kind of starts crying again, and then Armin goes up for a punch, hits Aaron. Not very effective.
Yeah.
And then Aaron just kicks Armin's ass. And he's like, "You know why we've never fought, Armin?" It's like, because it's not even close. Just absolutely kicks his ass before the rest of the Jaegers come in. He's like, take these guys away.
Yeah, I almost half expected Armin just to say fucking go colossal, but I knew that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, just destroy everything.
Just like, you know what? I'll just take you out. Fuck you.
Yeah, what a twist that would be. But yeah, honestly, that scene, I guess, pointed out a little bit of background information about the Ackermans, but most of it was just like hey, remember how Aaron's a bad guy now? Like, watch him tell all of his friends that he hates them and make them mad.
They are doing everything they can to make you not like Aaron anymore, not agree with him.
Yes. And then the rest of the half of the episode is mainly focused around Zeke. Finally their plan goes through. We find out that the scouts that have been protecting / securing Zeke have all been partaking in wine. Which obviously, as soon as we saw that, we're like, okay, well, you guys are fucked.
Yeah, y'all are dead. Just
at one point, Zeke just starts running away, and Levi looks back. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Just the transition was actually kind of funny.
Yeah, he walks away talking about how he's about to cut off that dude's arms, and he's gonna make one of the other people eat Zeke to get the Beast Titan over, and then he just turns around and there's just the fucking dashing away Zeke.
Just full comedy run. He's like, oh, okay.
And then obviously after that, Zeke yells, turns all of Levi's men into Titans, thinking that that's going to stall Levi because he won't kill his friends. Where he thinks he's gained this information from, I have no fucking idea.
I think it's Marley logic versus Scout logic.
I guess,
because you have to remember at this point, Levi's lived through the life where he's murdered his compatriots by sending them off to battle time and time again. He's watched them all die.
Well, even that, after learning years and years ago about how all these Titans are just people who turn into Titans, a lot of them not even optionally, he knows he's just been killing innocent people the whole time. He just has to accept it. It's too late to go back. There's no, the thing is, if there was an opportunity for Titans to turn back into people, this would have actually stalled him, because he would have been like, I can't kill all these people because, maybe there's a chance to save them. But at this point, as far as we know, there's no way of going back. So he has no option but to kill them and put them out of their misery.
Yeah, unless he's going to tie one up, take Zeke out, feed him to them.
And that even only saves one out of the 30 men he had, right?
And even then, they get Zeke's memory, so that for all he knows, he's just going to make another Zeke.
So Zeke thinks he's bought some time, and then is immediately attacked by Levi because...
he bought 3 minutes.
Yeah, because Levi then just massacred all the people. Gets in there. I do have to mention the real fun running scene for the Titans, because it's been a while since we saw a real good Titan run. As Zeke's being carried away, he's got some escorts, and their running was just very, very good. Very good. But yeah, Levi comes in, immediately fucks Zeke up, not even close, pulls him out, and then kind of takes him in a wagon, shoves a thunder spear in him, ties it to his neck. It's like, hey, if you fucking move your neck, this thing's gonna explode. You're gonna be chopped in half, blown to pieces.
Yeah, we did get to see a little bit of a classic Attack on Titan fight scene between Levi and the Beast Titan.
He rips up one of his Titans, throws all the guts at Levi to make it real, he obviously is a big thrower guy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, Levi, it wasn't even a chance. It wasn't even close.
It was one-sided, but it was a return to that fight style.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Levi just thunder spears Zeke all over the place, blows him up, pulls the body right out, and puts him in a cart.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised Zeke survived that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was all frontward, so I guess I don't know. It just propels him backwards. I don't know. But either way, Levi knew what he was doing, I guess, and puts him on the cart. And then kind of the last thing that Zeke says is hey, where's my glasses at? And he's like, it doesn't fucking matter, dude. You're done for. You don't need your glasses. Yeah. And then it shows a quick little scene of Zeke playing catch with some guy, and then he says his name. I don't remember what his name was, Kruzver or something.
It was a really weird pronunciation.
Another German name, I'm pretty sure.
It was KS.
But either way, he has a little scene of him playing catch, and that's where the episode ends. And then the next episode is pretty much entirely a Zeke flashback episode until the very end, which continues the cart. So a lot of the questions we had were answered here. A lot of the questions of how long has Zeke been like basically an undercover agent for? Has he been doing it the whole time?
Yeah, what exactly triggered him to turn his parents in?
Yeah, what triggered him to turn his parents in? At which point? Like, when did he work out this plan with Aaron? So all these questions were kind of answered, and then we also got we were also told finally what his plan is. Like, what's Zeke's plan with Aaron? That they had to keep secret from all the rest of the scouts. That isn't part of the plan they've been telling people. Because the fake plan is basically to use the Founding Titan and use the Rumbling to save their island.
Yeah.
But they actually have a more important plan. So a lot of it starts off with Zeke, being a child, as we've seen, learning from his parents, living an okay life. He's, a warrior candidate, but he kind of sucks. You know?
He's lagging behind. He's very similar to Falco in the sense that he's like the least likely to get the Titan.
Yeah, he's just not doing very well at all. And a couple times he sees other kids having fun with their dads, and he goes back to Grisha. Is like, "Hey, Dad, I finished early. Can we play some?" And Grisha's like, "Oh, sweet, you finished early. More studying time for you, dumbass." So he's not getting everything he could out of his parentship. When one day, a nice man throws him a ball, and he's like, "Hey, son, how about some catch?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." And he does the classic where he throws like, "Ooh, what an arm you have, kid. You're good." I was really expecting this dude to turn out to be evil.
I'm not gonna lie, he kind of did.
Okay, we're gonna get into this as we discuss the plan, but as we show a little bit, Zeke then comes back to play with this guy a few times. They become a little bit closer, and then at one point Zeke starts realizing that hey, his parents aren't as nice as they thought. After they find out that he's kind of lagging behind the warrior candidates, they start being harsh on him until he eventually overhears a secret meeting basically about them being like, "Oh, we need Zeke to do this. We need him to succeed as the warrior. That's part of our whole plan."
Yeah.
And then even after going one day to watch him, they see how lagging behind he really is. And since then his father's got this epic look of disappointment until one day while there, Zeke overhears that they're talking about how they've kind of located the Restorationists, the Eldian Restoration Alliance. They've located them. They talk about the owl, who's the secret guy who we learn later is Kruger.
Yep.
Well, we learned earlier is Kruger and later.
Right.
And then he goes back to his parents and he's like, "Hey, listen, you guys should stop this. You should stop. They kind of know they're going to be onto you." And the parents are like, "No, dude, we raised you to know better. We want to stop all this. We want to make life fair."
Yeah, and then he just looks at them as even if I end up like my Aunt May.
Yeah, and they're just like, "Oh, we're doing this because of Aunt May," kind of thing.
It's just wow, this is really far gone at this point, aren't they?
Yeah. So then the next scene is Zeke sitting down with the man he's been playing catch with, explaining how he's done for. He's they know about his family. They're gonna come get them, kind of thing. And this man looks genuinely hurt. He's crying. He's upset, kind of thing. As Zeke cries, being even when I die, even when I become a Titan on Paradise, I'll still remember you, kind of thing. And the guy's like, "You have no choice. You have to turn them in." He's like, "If you turn them in," he's like, you can save yourself. You can save your grandparents. They'll realize that you're loyal to them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And obviously this guy has already revealed at this point that he's the current Beast Titan. He admits that he's not that strong, and he's just been using the Beast Titan to gain knowledge of, he's a Titan researcher. He's just been using the knowledge of all the previous Beast Titans. So he convinces Zeke to turn his parents in, which is just the scene again that we've seen before. Him pointing them out, turning them in, doing what he has to do.
Yeah. Had a little bit of a different way knowing why he did it at this point. It was a little bit more deserving. It wasn't just him kind of turning on them. But
yeah, even then he knew that no matter what, they were all fucked. So even by doing this without considering how his parents have been treating him recently, because even that wasn't a big factor. He didn't just want revenge on his parents because they were kind of being dicks.
Oh god.
But if they were all fucked anyways, he might as well save his grandparents, especially save himself, and become look more loyal to Marley and kind of figure this out.
Yeah, because there was a few points where he kind of was just keep my head down. As long as I survive, everything's going to be okay.
I think does the guy reveal his backstory at the same time here? I think
it's afterwards.
When he's slightly older?
Yeah, it's when he was a teenager.
Yeah, okay. So after he turns it in, it skips ahead, and he's a teenage Zeke now. They're still playing catch, and he's even stronger. And that's kind of where Zeke, because the guy reveals a story about how using the Founding Titan, they could even change almost the inner composition of people.
Yeah, change their base biology.
Because there was a disease, and they used the Founding Titan to basically completely remove the disease through the Founding Titan's powers. And then Zeke has the idea. He's like, wait, using that power, could you also remove their ability to have babies? And then the guy like is fucking stunned, right? He doesn't catch the ball. He's kind of stunned. And then he tells his backstory, which was dark as shit when we first heard it.
Yeah, it was pretty extreme from what they explained.
So when he was younger, he hated the whole, obviously, how badly Eldians were treated. So he took off his armband. He pretended to be a Marleyan. He got married. He had a kid before eventually finally telling his wife that he was actually an Eldian. Where then one day he came home to find out that his wife had slit their son and her own throat.
Yeah.
And then from then on, he decided he was going to become the Beast Titan basically as his way of a very slow suicide.
Yeah.
Learning what he could before eventually, suicide. And he actually agrees. He's like, you know what, Zeke, you're right. Like, this is the play. Removing the ability to have children is how to stop this war.
Yeah, if you're never born, you can never suffer.
Never born, you can never suffer. Eldians are no longer born. That even eliminates like the, eventually, as long as even if you kill all the current Titans, eventually Eldian children will be born with these Titan powers. It'll come back. So by removing Eldian kids from ever being born, it solves the issue. So that going forward, as Zeke even inherits the Beast Titan later, that's the whole plan. The only issue is like the Beast Titan before he gets eaten and given his power to Zeke, he says you can never control the founding Titan. It is always up to the founding Titan. Like, they need your powers like a royal blood, but it's not up to you. So he's like, you need to, find the founding Titan, that you need to like befriend them. You need them on your side.
You need someone you can trust.
Yeah. And then after that, he becomes the Beast Titan. We're showing a few short clips of, Zeke learning about Eren for the first time, learning that it's Grisha's son over at Paradis. Eventually, showing him as he goes to Paradis for the first time, as he encounters Eren the one time and, kind of says like, I'll come back for you eventually kind of thing. Eventually, he sends Yelena there. She meets up with Eren, discusses the plan. Eren's over in Marley, and we finally see these two meet up, this was kind of shown, symbolized earlier by when Eren is first at like the hospital and he has like the glove. Yeah. And you're like, oh, who gave him that kind of thing? So he meets up with Zeke. Zeke explains the whole plan. He basically explains, hey, we can never, the only way to really save Eldians is by making their race die out, basically.
Yeah. Because the thing is, they don't call it the Eldian sterilization program. No. It's the Eldian euthanization program.
Yeah, you got to euthanize them.
So do you think they're actually planning to sterilize them, or do you think they're just going to like flip the switch and kill everyone?
I think they're just going to sterilize them, and it like maybe by doing that, they hope that they can just like delay the Marleyan War. Be like, hey, listen, like there's not really a reason. Like they'll die out eventually anyways.
Yeah, they've got 100 years at most.
Yeah, at least like let them like live out their lives on these island kind of thing until this happens. Obviously I don't think Marley would just be like, okay, yeah, sure. But even if Zeke doesn't really care what happens after, he at least like no matter what happens, whether it's war or they get to live a peaceful life until they die. Yeah. If they do this, they solve the problem in their mind. He tells this to Eren, and Eren agrees. Eren's like, you know what, I'm down for this. He goes over talking about how like what happened with his father and the other royal family, like killing children, that kind of stuff. And Eren's kind of like like this is the play. I agree with this. So he agrees to do the euthanization. It says like they start their own little plan there, and that's kind of where we go back to like modern day.
Yeah, which I mean, the big question is, do you think Eren's actually going to go through with this? Do you think he actually agrees, or do you think this is a long con?
I would like to say it's a long con, but I think that right now Eren does think that that's the best solution. Yeah. Because Eren's like he's seen the past, how like no matter what happens, basically this is always going to lead to issues. Yeah. So I mean, right now that's like the plan as far as we know it. And as Levi basically says, like I'm going to go feed you to someone else, and we're going to move on the Beast Titan. Zeke just kind of pulls the trigger on himself, shakes his neck a little bit, pulls that Thunder Spear, and blows himself up. Which is that's where we left off.
Yeah, which I'm kind of curious. Do you think he's dead?
I hope he's dead, because I feel like now we have learned everything we need to know from Zeke.
I know, it seems like an exposition dump.
It also, like, we know that Zeke technically is not needed because this is just going to lead. Eren will still be able to do his plan, but it'll have to be with Historia.
Yeah. Oh, God, she's going to have her kid and he's going to kidnap it.
Maybe. I mean, it could be, he could use the child. We don't know if this whole plan would work, because since it's up to the founding Titan, they like Eren's the one who controls it, but like he doesn't. We don't know if he knows how to do this, right? If he just touches her and he's like, "No babies in the future, please," and all their bodies just like shape.
He technically did it once before. He just didn't do it like actively.
Yeah, he didn't do it actively, and this requires way more than just turning the Titans away from him. They'd like to change all the Eldians' bodies. We don't know about the radius, or else, as we asked when we were watching this, if there was no radius, then you could just do this anytime. Why did they not just touch when they first met and make this happen? I think that this might be some sort of plan, like even with the Jagerist, a plan to get as many Eldians in one place as possible before doing it and changing all these people.
That makes sense.
So that's mainly what happened at the very end. I think that Zeke will die, and that'll make his story more important to the plan, because even with Zeke dead, Eren will have to continue on, and now he needs someone of royal blood.
Yeah.
Because there's just not really a point in Zeke living and them actually transferring it over to a new Beast Titan, because we know the Beast Titan isn't actually that special.
It was only because it was Zeke that was actually even useful.
Yeah, it's because it was Zeke with the royal blood and everything. So just having a new Beast Titan wouldn't really do much.
Yeah, because they even said like his predecessor didn't even go to war.
No, yeah, he wasn't that good. He was just used for research, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2 pretty big episodes. Like, we've been wondering about the Zeke background for like a while now.
Oh yeah.
So it's information we needed. The huge question with Attack on Titan right now is what the hell's happening. They cannot solve this in one more episode, but they have not yet announced what's going on.
Unless Eren is successful.
Even then, I don't think that would solve it yet.
Oh,
There's still the whole fact that there are the like Reiner, Peak, them. They're still going to come in for this war. So the 2 main options right now is there a movie or is there a season 4 part 2? Because as we saw with season 3 had 2 separate parts. It's very possible that they just come out saying in the last episode, hey, season 3 part 2 continues summer 2021.
I know. The big issue is that this has been hyped up as the end of the series.
Well, it is technically, if they did do a part 2, it's still a final season. So it's not, they didn't lie or anything like that, which I think is what they're going to do.
It's lying by exclusion.
But yeah, the other option, of course, as we mentioned last episode, is doing a animated movie after seeing the success of Demon Slayer.
I mean, that is possible. Even then, doing it in a movie, I don't know if they'd be able to pack it all in.
Yeah, because it just seems like so much. Like, based off what I've heard from like the manga, there is actually stuff with like Ymir later, like the original founding, and like you see some of that kind of stuff, like some of the original like Titan War. So like, I'm trying to think the only way in my mind they could pull this off is by doing a season 4 part 2. But yeah, still no word yet. I'm really hoping we either hear about it before the last episode next week, or if it's going to be the first time people hear about it is after the end, where it's like continues this time.
Yeah, I mean, even then, they might try and just resolve it, do something like Full Metal Alchemist and just do a separate ending.
They might, but I think people will not be happy with that. And I think they know that. Like, I think that they're self-aware now, that studios really should know what people would like and what they won't want.
I mean, that is true, but I mean, no matter how it ends, the fact that it's over is going to upset some people.
It's true, but I think that there's definitely the way that some shows can end, and they will always be, they'll have like a legacy. They'll always be known. And I think that Attack on Titan knows that's what they want. They want still, even if some people are angry it's over, and there's always going to be controversy over an ending. I think they want like 75% of the population to be like, oh, like in 10, 20 years from now, be like, oh, Attack on Titan. That's still one of the top anime of all time.
Yeah.
So my guess right now is a season 4 part 2. I'm gonna guess it's just announced at the very end of the next one, black screen, season 4 part 2 coming, and they're gonna give a date like June 20 or like summer 2021, fall 2021, something like that. That's the guess, anyways. If you have any thoughts, theories, or if you've heard any secret information that we don't know, let us know down below, because we're very curious, because it does affect us, being at one of the shows we talk about each week.
I mean, the fact of the matter is we don't do much research. So they could have announced this. We just don't know.
We do like no research. We expect you to do the research for us and let us know. That's what you guys are good for. Gives us some spare time just to watch more anime for more shows to discuss. So I think other than that, that's it for our weekly anime discussions this week.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we're just gonna get into a brief little intro here. Obviously, if you're watching this still, thank you. We'd love it if you would comment, like, subscribe, all that standard stuff.
Yeah, we appreciate any type of interaction, even just like the most basic comments, a question for us, just drop it down below.
Yeah, and as always, if you liked any of these anime episodes, leave us a comment about why you liked them, any theories for each individual one. Let us know which anime that you're watching and talking with us. And one of the big things, we're very, very close to now the spring 2021 season. Within the next week, maybe 2 weeks, we're going to have probably a second episode in a week, just like what we did last season, where we go through a list of the upcoming anime and maybe like read the synopsises, discuss which you think we're looking interesting.
Yeah, just some first impressions to what's coming out.
Because even stuff like that was fun, because in that one, we read like Mushoku Tensei and we like mocked it, because we're like, this sounds like the most generic shit anime isekai I've ever heard of.
Yeah, then we started watching. It's like, oh man, we were way off base here.
Even like the spider isekai, we mentioned how like it just sounds like the reincarnated as the slime, but like people said it's been different. Like it'll be fun in retrospect, looking back once the season starts, and seeing what we actually like came to love. And
yeah, it's kind of our opportunity to look back. It's like, look at those dumbasses.
Yeah, so that should be coming out soon. So if that comes out, of course, watch it, leave comments as to what you want, and in this video too, you can leave comments as to any spring anime that you'd really want us to watch, and something that you like enjoy going along with us each week. because obviously as certain shows end, like if you were only here for Mushoku Tensei, we don't want you just to take off and leave and come back in June.
Yeah.
We'd love it if you'd stay and watch something with us. So that's why we're going to try and build a nice list. Who knows, maybe one day if we have so many anime, we'll be able to split it into 2 separate episodes and just come out with 2 episodes with them. Obviously, that's like a future thing if there's ever enough anime and we have enough time.
Yeah.
That's like a goal looking forward. And then, yeah, like every other week, just of course, let us know anything that you think we can improve on down below or anything you like, anything you'd change, all that kind of standard stuff. And I think other than that, guys, we will see you next week for episode number 28. Thanks again for always, or thanks again. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name's Cam.
I'm Jimmy.
Take it easy, guys. Peace.
Peace.